Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Twisted Tragedies, where we follow all the twists and turns wherever they lead. I am your host, Elise. Hit that like button is right. Good morning. Sorry for the delay. My little decided that she was going to sneak some white chocolate yesterday. She has a dairy allergy, so this morning she woke up with a hurt belly, and she had a little pukey. And then I cleaned her up and put her back to sleep. And she fell back to sleep within like 3 minutes. So she's currently sleeping at the moment. It took her about maybe 2 minutes to fall back to sleep. I said, maybe you won't sneak pieces of white chocolate when you're with daddy outside playing anymore, huh? You'll learn your lesson. She's lactose intolerant, so some things are more sensitive to her than others. And the day after Easter, she gets sick. And she said, Mommy, it was probably all the chocolate I ate or the candy. But yeah, I can't make this shit up, dude. This is my life. But anyway, she's back to sleep. She's snoring. I put a bucket next to her because she likes to have a bucket in case she feels like she can't make it to the bathroom. I could see her from here, just snoring. White chocolate, yeah. I don't know. Like, apparently, this is our first year of her having any white chocolate. So apparently, she's just more sensitive to the white chocolate than regular. We found out they're like, she can have certain things like mac and cheese when it's cooked is fine, right? She can have the regular string cheese, but my sister buys like a different, like cheddar jack cheese, like string cheese. And she had one of those one time and it was immediate puke. So it's like, you don't know until you try it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like the doctor said, like, to let her have things like yogurt up to a cup of dairy a day because it's like giving you, like, putting you with the allergy so that then you become less and less allergic to it, I guess. I don't know. Listen, I thought it was crazy, but this is what the doctor says. So, hold on. We got something incoming. Hold on. Outside the courthouse. It's weird. I don't know why they're already turning their camera on, but oh, shiitake. Wow, what the dude? This computer is the bane of my existence right now. Hold on, guys. It's just Karen walking in. I don't know why they turned the camera off for that, on for that, but so they're gonna shut it back off now. That's what I'm guessing. That was very strange. I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding. Listen, I appreciate it. I haven't even turned my other light on yet. As you can see, it's like a little dark because I haven't turned the other light on yet. I didn't have time. There we go. One thing at a time. But they shut the audio off, but they're still showing outside the courthouse. I'm not really sure why. Yes. Oh, wait. Audio's back on. Hold on. See if I can jack it up.
I know Rich has some. I should just ask him to leave one up there. I don't know if they're still live on me. I don't have any audio on, but
I don't have any audio on, he said. Yes, you do. Oh. He said, I don't know if it's still live, and they don't have any audio on, but the audio is on. I know. You know, Jennifer, we're working on it. Freak is trying to get the Zoom link so that we can get like the Karen cam, and we will stream it all here. So we're working on it. It just might take a day or two. hold on a second. I want to get, so my computer just did something funny and I don't know why. Haven't set up the second screen yet. I really haven't had time. That would have been helpful right now, I'll tell you that much. I don't know why my computer's opening up other, like, hold on. Oh, look, I'm live. All right, hold on. Let's see. So it's gotta be, okay, live coverage, Lauren crime. I'm gonna take this down for a second and get rid of this because if I don't add it this way, for some reason, the screen doesn't like me and loses the audio. This guy's like doesn't know what he's doing, I feel like, out here with this camera. Like, okay, Lauren crime guy. Audio's all the way up. He doesn't even realize that he's still alive, I don't think. Oh, I don't know if John's in there. I can ask. I can message him and ask him. This guy has no idea he's even still alive, I don't think. Poor guy. I mean, I don't see many. Yeah, he's in the buffer zone. Yeah, they're allowed when they're media. The only people allowed when they're media is to be in the buffer zone. Hey, AV. There's Freak. Popping in and out. That's A-okay, my friend. Yeah, this cameraman at Law and Crime must be new or something. Like, I don't know what's going on. Oh my God. Oh, sorry guys. I'm still trying to like put things on the screen, fix the sizes of everything. I did not have a chance to do this morning. I don't like, what are they waiting for? Karen already went in. Or is this backed up? It should have been live, but hold on. Click the bubble. Yeah, sorry guys. I had to fix the sizes of everything. It'd be super helpful if you guys did hit the like button, the subscribe button. I didn't do my whole spiel this morning because, well, I didn't have time, but that would be very helpful if y'all could hit the like button, the subscribe button, and if you want to donate to the channel, you can do so right here at this information. Give me 1 second, guys. No, it's muted. I have no idea. Like there's no, they have no audio on that, but I'm honestly, hold on. This is not, hold on. Live coverage. Sorry, guys. I'm pulling that down because that's not law code. Okay. See, the problem is they turn it on for certain things, then shut it back off, which is obnoxious because then you have to find a second stream. Okay, here we go. Hold on. We got the fan. Fanny the fan. Add Fanny the fan here. Hold on. Yeah, I'm on it right now with Law and Crime. Let's see. Is this it? Yes, this is it. And it's moving. Okay. Sorry. I'll make it bigger for you guys. Wait 1 second, because I do believe that it... Okay, that one's not muted, which means they're muted. That's exactly right, Jennifer. It's you can't even Cage Karen Reed, I love that. You can't even say a majority of them are media. They're not. That's not reporting anything that's a fact. That's for sure. I mean, let's hope. Hold on 1 second, guys. I have a complaint for DoorDash. I have a complaint, y'all. I have this complaint. It's right here. It's Law and Crime. I have a complaint. This is stupid. Hold on 1 second, guys. I turned my mic down about 25%. Is it? Hold on. You want to know why? It's because the microphone settings and the regular settings, the sound settings are a little bit different. So, microphone, sound settings. Let's see if the judge starts on time today. Hopefully she will, because I'm going to move my computer when she starts. Funny enough, my microphone is down at 60%. So it should be fine now. Can you guys hear it now? Or is that still peaking? Or is that like better? It's part of, I don't, it's sad because I don't think they're incapable, DJ. I think it's just that they don't want to think or believe anything that doesn't follow their theory of it, you know? Also, yeah, my coffee tastes like dog crap. So whoever made it did a terrible job and has no idea what they were doing today. Yeah. And when you don't drive, it's not like you can go back over there and get another one. So that's frustrating. Oh, you're taking out the doggy? Good morning, Jezebel. I'm sorry, I've missed some comments. Good morning, guys. I got a kiddo who's a little pukey this morning, so she fell back to sleep, woke back up, pukey, back to sleep again. So just keeping an eye on that and this and you all at the same time. Like, it's better? Okay, it's good. Like, well, that's the thing. Like, that's what's so beautiful. Francesca, good morning, my friend. About what is happening with the clips is that he's doing them right after Jackson makes these arguments, like basically against some of it. And then he just plays this clip that shows Karen in her own words saying exactly that. It's like it just undid anything that he thought he did to begin with. Like, I did get a because I didn't get to say this in the beginning. I did get exactly. Let's go, Hank. I did get a $5 donation yesterday when I was not live anymore. Those ones always put a smile on my face when I get them when I'm not live because it's always somebody on like watching a replay or whatever, watching it again. And it was from Anonymous. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. They come at the most random time, so I could just be like eating dinner or playing a game with my daughter or like whatever, and then all of a sudden, boop boop boop, it comes through, and I just smile because it's unexpected at that point. So it's always nice to get something unexpected, I guess, But I want to say thank you to Anonymous for that yesterday for sending that while I was not live anymore. Morning, Joan. Oh God, Jesse, I can't even watch it. That's the part that gets me is I cannot even go back and watch it. How do you mock the victim's mom? That's just bad. Like, hey, Agent 99. Bree said, it still blows my mind all these people who swear they want to protect Karen's rights, but they get so pissed off when they're not allowed to violate the most basic right of any defendant, fair trial. It drives me absolutely bonkers because I'm like, wait a second. You want X, Y, and Z, right? But you want Karen to have a fair trial? That doesn't make sense. Her right to a fair trial comes with all sorts of things, like, so that they don't seem to grasp that. Like, not only is it a huge misrepresentation. Oh. Carrie Roberts doesn't need to lie. That's not my fault, you guys. I'm going to mute them until they figure out what they're doing. So when I see the thing start moving, I'll unmute that. But like, no, we're not listening to that. Just sometimes it beeps like that and then we get audio. But We didn't. It just kept beeping. So I muted it until they figure out what's going on there. No, they don't grasp a lot of things. You are totally right. But I have hope though, Jesse. And I know I probably shouldn't at this point, especially due to all the harassment I've dealt with, like on a daily basis, continuing still since 2023 with some of these people that like I have hope that some people will come and maybe not my channel, but another channel, and will hear truth and will go look and will be like, hark, oh my God. I literally just got splashed in the face with cold water. I can't believe I believe this crap. There's clearly evidence to the contrary. You know? I know. Listen, I know. Hey, if all hope was lost though, you wouldn't be here, right? So, I have to have faith. And I wouldn't have made, some amazing friends who thought Karen should be let go. My friend Tracy, has been like sort of on this side and then like sort of in the middle. She likes the more procedural stuff, which I do too when it comes to the law. Like the procedural stuff is my kind of stuff, obviously. But I wouldn't have met her. She wouldn't have come here if she wasn't looking for alternative reasons and alternative like voices, right? And she did. And I'm glad she did because she's one of those people like me that kind of looks into everything, you know? Like you don't just listen to what one person says, you just look into it, you know? And so I do have hope. I feel like it can't be completely lost because then people like you guys wouldn't exist. You know what I mean? Like so there's got to be some people at least in a middle ground like you or Tracy, um, you know what I mean? Some people left that are listening from the bushes, and I have quite a few people. I mean, I know a lot of you have told me some of you were listening or watching my channel for months before you ever said anything in chat. We have that happen quite a bit. We have that happen often where someone will say like, "Oh, this is my first time talking in chat and I've been watching you for whatever, a month, a year, 3 months, whatever." You know what I mean? Like so I do have hope. I do. I have hope. I mean, this morning, there's about 150 of you currently. I mean, obviously, that's usually like that's half as much as what we usually have when a trial's not on. But we have people watching in other places because there's a trial on. So, like, you know what I mean? They're either watching it on Law and Crime or on another channel. Um, I miss some of you though. Like, I'll tell you guys that much. Like, where's Maestro? God damn it! Me and him gonna have a little chit chat. um But that's talking about Kerry Roberts' testimony, if you go back and watch her first testimony is the same now as it was then. So, like, to say she was lying, you know what I mean? Like, oh, she was lying. Well, that's another, like, she wasn't lying, dude. Like, she knows that the question was asked because they've been over this timeline a billion times. Like, if you saw her face when he, like, tried to call her a liar and she was like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but you should know genuine emotion when you see it, even if the emotion isn't happy or sad. Like, you should know genuine emotion when you see it. Like, I don't know the line. Oh, he's over on Grant's feed. Ugh. He'll be back. So here's the thing. Yeah, the judge shouldn't have allowed the badgering for sure, Joan. Hi, Tanja. I always know you're in the bushes. Lots of you guys are always in the bushes. I know some of you are at work and stuff. So I could appreciate you have to watch from the bushes with like one headphone in at work or something. Or I should say listen from the bushes. But I do think that there are Agent 99 people seeing through it. Ooh, we're getting audio. That means they're probably coming in soon. So with that, everybody hit a like and a subscribe. If you want to donate to the channel, you can do so by this. There is a ticker on the bottom of the screen below this big one that tells you how. I will mute myself. You guys don't hear it? Hold on, let me remove it and then put it back on because it wasn't muted, so I don't understand what's happening. Hold on. Hold on. Share screen. I'll back it up. That's weird. All right. It was quick. It wasn't anything super serious, so hold on. Here we go. Now, of course. Shocker. Now she lets him play the clip. I knew that was going to happen because I knew she didn't want it played right after Peggy O'Keefe, but that it is absolutely the defendant, in her own words, allowed, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what tone it's in. So AJ can crap and whine and bitch about the tone all he wants. It's the tone she said it in. She knew there would be not just an audience here in the United States, but a global audience to that documentary. She chose to say it the way she said it. It is not. It is regular Sagittarius cherry bomb. And I am running out. I literally need to get to a store, like, desperately. Which clip, Jolandi? Which clip, honey? She will probably stare at the jury. Yeah, the judge said that he can play the clip. That was the last thing she said, was you can play the clip. Sorry, I'll add this back on. And bring the jury in. So now hold on. We're still waiting on them to bring the jury in. I don't know what's taking so long. But it is caught up to live. Oh, I hear it. It's coming back. I shall mute myself. Maybe. Can you guys hear it? No, you should be able to hear it. Yeah? It's not muted. Okay, good. Just making sure. Yeah, her eyes do look scary in that clip because she always does this, where she's like bulging eyeballs.
Hear ye, hear ye. All persons having anything due before the Honorable Beverly Cannoni, the Justice of the Superior Court, now holding in Dedham within and for the County of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is in session. Please be seated.
22117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
All right, good morning again, counsel. Good morning, Ms. Reed.
Good morning, jurors. I have to ask you those same three questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we were here yesterday? Yes. Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Yes. Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left here yesterday? No. Everyone said no or should be. Thank you very much. Will we bring Mr. Whitman back in, please?
Ms. Giannetti, you can step up to the podium.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Sir, I'll remind you, you're still under oath. Thank you.
Can I proceed?
Yes.
Mr. Whitley, yesterday you testified that when Karen Reed was brought to the hospital, she didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny and she didn't want to give a urine sample. Do you recall that testimony?
I do.
It was clear to you that her reluctance to cooperate at that time was because she very much wanted to check on John's progress and status at the hospital, correct?
No, I don't
Objection.
believe that to be the case.
Well, you testified before the grand jury regarding this matter 3 years ago, didn't you?
I don't believe I said that she was
I
reluctant.
didn't ask you that question. You testified before the grand jury 3 years ago, didn't you?
I testified before the grand jury 3 years ago.
You were under oath then, as you're under oath today, correct?
Correct.
You swore to tell the truth.
I am telling the truth.
You swore to tell the truth in 2022 before the grand jury, did you not?
I did.
That was less than 3 months after you brought Karen Reed to the hospital, didn't you?
Yeah.
And your memory of what happened at the hospital was very good in April of 2022, right?
As good as today.
Your memory in April of 2022 was very good, wasn't it?
It was very good as it is today.
Okay, so you want to add the as it is today, despite the fact that you weren't asked that question. Is that right?
Objection.
Objection.
All right. When questioned by Mr. Lally at the grand jury, you were asked the following question. So what, if any, interaction did you have with her, meaning Ms. Reed, at the hospital once you were there? You remember that question, right?
I do.
And your answer was, after that, I helped escort her down to, they call it the psych hallway, where they have
Objection, let him
rooms
see
set
it.
up for psychiatric patients for their evaluation. And then she was unhappy that she wasn't able to see him, meaning John. And she kept trying to. She didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny. She didn't want to, I believe, give a urine sample. She was not, the nurses were asking her to do certain things that every patient has to do, and she was not cooperating with them. Do you remember that answer?
I do.
So 3 years ago, when you testified about this issue of giving a urine sample, you testified under oath that you believed that she didn't want to give a urine sample, correct?
Correct.
Yesterday, 3 years later, you testified with certainty that she didn't want to give them, right?
Yeah, she was giving them a hard time about having to give a urine sample.
Right. No, I'm asking you about your testimony yesterday in contrast to the grand jury, sir.
Okay.
To the extent that I ask yes or no question, I'd like yes or no answers.
So
okay?
no instructions to the witness, Ms.
Your
Giannetti.
Honor,
Ask
may
a
the witness be
question.
instructed to answer the
You
question
can't
yes or no. if it
make him
calls
do
for a
yes or no.
question.
You cannot.
Answer.
Answer the question that's asked of you, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead, ask a question.
You
Can't be
testified
yes or no.
yesterday that she didn't want to give a urine sample without saying it was your belief that she didn't want to give one, correct?
Correct.
In any case, were you aware that when she was asked to give a urine sample, that Ms. Reed had gotten her period and did not have a tampon?
I was aware she was on her period, yes.
You're also aware that when somebody is brought to the hospital for a Section 12, they have no privacy. Isn't that right?
They have medical privacy. Either the tech or the nurse would be with the patient at all times.
Okay. With them at all times, observing them at
Observing
all
them,
times,
correct.
correct?
So they wouldn't be, she wasn't in like a hallway open to the public.
Understood, sir. But she also, when I said privacy, what I was asking is, she was not allowed to go to the bathroom alone to give a urine sample, correct?
She was a psychiatric patient.
Right. So she would have to use the bathroom in front of hospital personnel or some medical personnel with people watching her while she was on her period with no tampon, correct?
I would understand that to be true.
All right. And you're aware that she did cooperate and eventually give a blood sample as well, correct?
I'm not aware of a blood sample, but urine sample, yes.
She did give the urine sample.
Correct.
Now, in your testimony, yes, of what Karen Reed may have asked you about John surviving in the snow with light clothing. You remember those questions? John surviving in the snow with light clothing. You remember those questions?
I remember asking about not having a jacket, correct?
Now, starting at the end of the day, when I cross-examined you yesterday, I asked you about that topic, and I said to you, you mentioned something about hypothermia, that you assumed you may have been dealing with a hypothermia situation. And your answer was, well, she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
But before I cross-examined you at the end of the day yesterday, you previously testified 3 times about this topic, correct?
I believe it would be the grand jury and the previous trial.
Right, and direct examination when Mr. Brennan was asking you questions before I stood up, correct?
Okay, yes.
Let's start with the first time you testified about this topic back in 2022. That was, again, less than 3 months after you had a conversation with Ms. Reed at the scene on January 29th, correct?
Correct.
Her statements and questions to you at the scene were fresh in your mind in April of 2022, correct?
Correct.
In April of 2022, before the grand jury, Mr. Lally asked you, quote, what, if any, questions did she ask you regarding hypothermia? Do you remember that question?
I do.
Your answer was, she was just wondering if he could have survived outside in the cold even though he didn't have a jacket on. Do you remember giving that answer?
I do.
Nowhere in that answer, in 2022, less than 3 months after these events, do you attribute the words, quote, many hours, end quote, in the snow to Ms. Reed, correct?
Yes, I was not.
I'm not asking for an explanation, sir. I'm asking for an answer.
All right, so he was answering you, Mr.
My
Yannetti.
question called for a yes or no answer.
You get to say
Nowhere in
yes or
your
no.
answer in 2022, do you attribute the words many hours in the snow to Ms. Reed? Yes or no?
No, I did not say that at that point.
Nowhere in your answer in 2022 do you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
She did. At that-
Sir, I'm asking you about your testimony.
I object.
So let him answer the question.
Let me ask it again. Nowhere in your answer in 2022 did you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
In 2022, I testified that I was just told to be brief and give generalizations. She quantified many hours in the snow when we were back at the
Let me try this again,
So,
sir. because
Mr. Yannetti, you're just saying 2022. Get to a
Of
date
course,
and a
yes.
place.
April of 2022, okay, before the grand jury.
He answered it.
My question again, and I'm still seeking a yes or no answer from you, okay? Nowhere in your answer in April of 2022, before the grand jury, did you testify under oath that Ms. Reed told you that John had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
Not in 2022 of April, no.
Okay. The next time you testified under oath was last year in 2024, correct?
Correct.
During that testimony, Mr. Lally asked you, oh, by the way, so 2022 is no mention of many hours, right?
I did not, and I was told to be brief on the grand jury stand.
But again, no mention of
Right.
many hours in 2022. Okay. Now, 2024, last year, Mr. Lally asked you, so firefighter Whitley, at some point, specific to your conversations with the defendant, Ms. Reed, can you describe sort of her demeanor or any observations you made in relation to that as you were speaking with her? And your answer was, yes, she was very upset. She kept asking if there was any chance. She kept asking us if we knew if the person ambulance 1 had transported was alive or dead, and we could not speak to that. She asked if somebody could be alive in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
So 2022, there was no mention of many hours. 2024, over time, now that's the first time that you mention the words many hours in your testimony regarding this case, correct?
Correct.
All right. And when you testified last year, you testified still that she was asking you a question about surviving in the snow, correct?
Correct.
So then we come to yesterday on direct examination. Do you recall that Mr. Brennan yesterday asked you, before you left, were you having any conversations with the defendant? And you answered yes. You recall that yesterday?
Is that at the hospital?
I'm asking you yesterday, do you recall Mr. Brennan asking you before you left essentially the scene, were you having any conversations with the defendant? And your answer was yes.
You're talking about Lee, I'm just trying to make sure we're talking about the same instance. Are we talking about when we left the hospital or when we left Fairview Road?
When you were at Fairview Road, leaving Fairview Road, we're talking about the same subject of what Ms. Reed supposedly told you or asked you. Okay, Mr. Brennan went into that with you.
So on the way to, you're talking on the way to the hospital in terms of left, when we left.
Well, before you left, he meant before you left the scene.
Okay, no, I'm just trying to clarify.
Again, it's the same conversation, Mr. Whitley. I'm not trying to trick you.
Mr. Yannetti, he just asked for a point of reference. It's clear. No go.
Understood. And Mr. Brennan said, can you share with the jury what those conversations were about? And your answer was, so we were talking, she was upset. She kept asking if there was any chance her husband could be alive, even sitting outside in the snow without any coat for many hours. Do you recall that answer that you gave yesterday on direct examination?
Yes.
And that was the first time that you mentioned that she said, supposedly, or asked supposedly, about him sitting outside in the snow, correct?
I was just using phrases generally speaking. I wasn't at that point I was paraphrasing. I was not speaking verbatim to what she said.
Let's try that again. That was the first time that you mentioned that she claimed or asked that he was sitting outside, correct?
It could have been sitting, laying, being.
Let's try it a third time.
So
Was that-
just ask the question, not let's try it.
Sure.
Let's try it.
Was that the first time that you testified under oath?
Like, stop the
that Ms.
commentary.
Reed said or asked about him sitting outside?
Are you asking me to clarify whether she used the
I'm not
word
asking
sitting?
you to clarify anything. I'm asking you whether that was the first time yesterday during direct examination that you mentioned that she asked about him sitting outside.
I'm sorry. I am very confused because I'm trying to figure out if he was being outside, sitting outside.
I'm asking you about Ms. Reed's statements, sir. That's all I've been asking you about. Her
Okay.
statements to you and your testimony about her statements to you. Was yesterday on direct examination the first time that you testified under oath that Ms. Reed mentioned the words sitting outside?
I don't know.
All right.
I'm just using, she might have said laying outside, being outside, outside.
Okay, so when you testified yesterday before this jury
Yes.
that she mentioned the words sitting outside, you're now saying that that might not have been accurate, correct?
It
No.
could have been a different word.
Okay, but you didn't say it could have been a different word yesterday. You just
Oh my-
left it as
Come
sitting
on.
outside, correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I said, sitting.
All right, so now we get from, the grand jury with many hours mentioned to questions about many hours to sitting outside.
This is like
Two.
stupid.
Let's talk about what you said on cross-examination.
I object.
Okay, the objection sustained.
Sure. On cross-examination, your words were, she said he had been out in the snow without a jacket on for many hours, correct?
She had asked if he had been outside, if there was any chance he could be alive, even though he was outside without a jacket for many hours.
So it always was a question, correct?
It was a question.
She never said what you said on cross-examination yesterday, which was she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket on for many hours. That was not a declarative statement by Ms. Reed, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Was that a declarative statement? By
How was he
Mr.
supposed to know?
She asked if he could be alive without a jacket in the snow for many hours.
So again, it was a question, sir.
She asked me, and we were just trying to give her hope in terms of telling stories of hypothermic patients that could survive outside in the snow.
Okay, is there any redirect?
Briefly.
Okay.
He does sound like an idiot. It's very desperate, and it's not going to bode well with the jury badgering a
When you were
EMT.
called to the grand jury, was the testimony as in-depth and as long as it is in front of this jury?
Not even close.
When you're recounting your memories of what happened, do you memorize word for word what you said in the past?
Objection.
As to that form, it's sustained.
When you're recounting the past, do you record your statements personally?
Objection.
I'm going to let that one. Do you record your statements?
No.
Next question.
When you testified in the grand jury, page 90, line 15, and you said the defendant told you, "I'm upset if he dies, I want to die." And then you later testify last year, and you said, "If my husband dies, I want to die." Do you notice the little differences between those phrases?
I do.
Is that you making up words?
No.
Is that you trying to help a case?
Objection.
As to form, that's sustained.
Are you inventing facts?
No.
Sir, when you were recounting what happened that day, are you using your best memory?
Objection.
Sustained.
When you were asked by the defendant about how long, or someone out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, do you remember that conversation with her?
I do.
Where were you during that conversation?
We were in the back of the ambulance.
Do you remember it distinctly?
I remember it distinctly. She was looking at me.
When you tried to give her hope and comfort, and you told her stories about other situations where people, maybe children, have fallen through the ice and had hypothermia, did you have that conversation with her in trying to comfort her?
I did.
Do you remember that conversation?
I do.
Did you necessarily share those conversations with the grand jury?
I don't recall if I did or I didn't.
Did you ever write that in your report?
No.
Is that something you typically put everything in your report?
No, we do not write. But generally, we only write patient complaint, what happened, what they did, not their opinions or anything like that to what's going on.
Do you have any interest in the outcome of this case?
I do not.
How long have you been a firefighter for?
Since March of 2006, and an EMT since November of 2002.
Over 20 years.
Correct.
You said that you live near Kerry Roberts?
I do.
You've been to a block party for the kids where you've brought the fire engine down?
I do.
Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
When you're at that block party, do you ever step out and have secret meetings with Kerry Roberts trying to corroborate some conspiracy on their behalf?
No.
I'm going to allow that.
No.
Put your career on the line?
Objection.
Sustained.
No further questions.
Any follow-up, Mr. Yannetti?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Firefighter Whitley, you are all set.
Thank you.
This poor guy. We can all thank Freak for the split screen in the Karen cam because he's the one who figured out how to do it. Thank you, Freak. Brilliant, though, Hank. Thank you.
Like to play clip 5, Your Honor?
We playing it.
And his mother leans over the kitchen island and says to me, "I think it looks like you got hit by a car. It looks like you got hit by a car."
All right, who's your next witness, Mr. Brennan?
Next witness is Jean DeMoulis.
Her face. Look at her face. She was pissed. She turned away from it. And Yannetti leans over, probably telling her to control her anger in her face.
Okay.
They need to move that Karen cam over because they only get inside of her head now. Oh, you heard noise? Yeah, that was probably not good for her. And that whole line of questioning to the EMT firefighter is not going to bode well with a jury, because a jury is going to wonder why you're badgering an EMT firefighter over whether he said a different word last time than this time. It doesn't. If there was something larger to impeach him with, that would make sense. But they're like, you're trying to like impeach an EMT firefighter over using describing words. That's not going to bode well to a jury. And he started off very angry and like already pissed off. Like, what are you pissed off about, bro? This is your first question of the day. Like, calm it down, buddy. Something must have happened before court. And also I think they know they're losing really badly. That pissed him off like that. A judge is ruling on something or something. Vinny Politan's a hack, and I'll say that 100 times over. You want to watch somebody go on court TV, Julie Grant's on at 8 a.m., and she's amazing.
Please tell me the evidence given to the court and jury in the case will guarantee the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yeah, the judge should have stopped him from badgering.
You can scooch in close to the microphone. Thanks.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Jean Demulis. I am the general manager at CF McCarthy's in Canton.
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up if you would, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
You said you're the general manager at CF McCarthy's?
In Canton, yes.
Thank you. How long have you been the general manager at CF McCarthy's in Canton for?
For 6 years.
Can you briefly describe for the jury what CF McCarthy's is?
It is a restaurant and bar.
At CF McCarthy's, is there a video surveillance system inside?
Yes.
Who owns that video surveillance system?
CF McCarthy's.
Are you familiar with the video system?
Yes.
Have you ever looked at it before?
Yes.
Do you employ people to help the establishment with the video system?
No.
You maintain it on your own?
Yes.
At some point, were you visited by somebody from the Massachusetts State Police?
Yes.
Were you asked whether or not they could view some of your video surveillance?
Yes.
Do you remember the date? Not the date they came to visit you, the date that they were looking for.
I believe it was January 28th, 27th, 28th of 2022.
Around that time?
Yes.
Did you allow access to the video system?
Yes.
Did you oversee that access to the video system?
Yes.
Was it a state police officer?
It was two state police detectives.
Do you remember their names?
I remember one of the detectives' names. I do not remember the other detective.
The one you remember, could you share the name?
It was Detective Buchnick, Yuri.
Detective Yuri Buchnick.
Yes.
At some point, was he allowed to download information from the surveillance system?
Yes.
Did you watch him do that?
Yes, I did.
At some point, have you been able to briefly look at some of that download?
Yes.
And does it appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the surveillance or the area of your bar?
Yes.
Move to introduce.
Okay, there's no objection, Ms. Giannetti?
There is no objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 18, so marked.
Thank you.
Your Honor, may I play just a small portion?
Sure.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm going to show you just some random shots from this video, but I want to know if you recognize it. Is this the inside of CF McCarthy's?
Yes.
I'm not asking if you have any particular knowledge or information about that. Now, I want to
Yeah.
know, is this a fair and accurate depiction of what CF McCarthy's looks like?
Yes.
Has there been any substantive, significant changes to the inside of that establishment
No,
since this video is taken?
no.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gilman. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay,
I have no questions.
all right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're all set, Counsel.
Your next witness, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you. Bridget Meehan.
Let's hit the like button, everybody, while they're waiting for this next witness. Make sure you share the video, subscribe. If you want to make a donation to the channel, you can do so with the information on the screen currently. It really helps us out. We only survive from donations from our viewers.
You solemnly swear the evidence you give the court and jury in the case now hearing to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Good morning. Good morning.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name's Bridget Meehan.
Where do you work?
I work at the Waterfall Bar and Grill in Canton.
The name maybe tells us a little bit about it, but could you just share a couple lines of what the Waterfall Bar and Grill is?
It's a small family-owned business in Canton. It's in a mixed condo complex.
Are you involved in the ownership of it?
Yes.
How long have you been involved with the Waterfall Bar and Grill?
We've been there approximately 10 years.
Do you help run the establishment?
Yes, I do.
And you were running the establishment back on January 28, 2022? At some point, were you asked or visited to see if your establishment had video surveillance of the inside?
I was.
Does your establishment have video surveillance of the inside?
It does.
Do you have a camera and a server?
Do I have? Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you provide video surveillance to the Massachusetts State Police from that night, January 28, 2022?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor? I'd like
Yes.
to move this in as an exhibit, please.
Okay. Ms. Giannetti?
No objection.
Thank you.
With the court's permission?
Yes.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm going to show you just a brief clip. Okay, stop, please. Do you see that video?
I do.
Does that depict the inside of McCarthy's?
No.
I'm sorry, the waterfall?
Yes.
I'm trying to switch establishments on you. Back on January 28, 2022, does that look the way it looked then?
Yes.
Has there been any significant changes inside since then?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
I have
Okay.
no questions.
All right, Ms. Meehan, you.
Thank you.
And I'll get that coming down.
Is my camera on there?
All right, your next witness, Mr. Brennan.
Commonwealth calls Mike Camerano.
Come on, can you follow me, please? So, step on up, face the front, raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear the evidence you give the court and jury in the case now hearing to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Get to stand.
Good morning.
May I?
Please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, good morning. My name is Michael Camerano.
Mr. Camerano, can I ask how old you are? I'm sorry.
Spell your last name.
Camerano.
And so if you could either move the microphone down a little bit or speak up, or maybe a combination of both, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could I ask you how old you are?
48,
Where do you live?
Canton, Mass.
How long have you lived in Canton for?
Me and my wife have lived there for 20 years. Me and my wife have lived there for 20 years. We have 2 children.
How old are your children, sir?
My daughter is 17. My son is 14.
Did you know John O'Keefe?
Yes.
How did you know him?
I met John for the first time at his sister's they had a benefit for his sister in 2013. I met John there for the first time. And then years later, our kids got involved with sports together, and they became very close. As they became close, I became very close with John and his family.
Was your daughter close with John's niece?
Yes.
Was your son close with?
Yes.
Did you spend a lot of time together through sports and socially?
Yes, we did.
I want to take you forward to January 28th of 2022.
Okay.
Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Had you, without any discussion of what might have been said, did you have any discussions with John that day?
Yes.
Did you have a plan?
Yes, we were communicating.
At some point, did you decide that you were going to spend some time or go meet John?
Yes. That Friday, my daughter and his daughter, they got acceptance letters to school. So we wanted to get them together so they could enjoy the time together. And, just, go over like how it'll be so much fun, something new, different. Yeah, so we were going to meet up after I got out of work.
Was your daughter planning to go to a new school?
Yes.
Where?
Bishop Fan.
And how about his niece?
Same.
They both got accepted to
They
the
both
same
got
school?
accepted to the same school.
Was it a celebratory mood?
Yes.
Did you have a plan to bring the children together so they could celebrate?
Yes, we did.
And then separately, you were going to meet John and celebrate?
Correct.
Where did you drop your daughter off?
I dropped my daughter off at John. I went into John's. I was at the house with John and the girls, and we had a little celebration. Talked about how nice it's going to be, fun, change, different, meet new people.
And you celebrated at John's house before you went out?
Correct.
After the celebration with your children, did you and John leave?
Yes.
During that celebration, was there anybody there other than you, John, and your 2 daughters?
No. No. Karen was not there.
Was there anybody else there?
No, just the 2 girls, myself and John.
What was the weather like that night?
It was cold. It was not snowing yet.
Was there an expectation? For
Yes,
the
there's
next
an
morning?
expectation. Yes,
And what was that?
that there was going to be a big snowstorm coming in.
A storm was coming.
Yes.
When you left, did you leave in a separate car than John, or did you leave together?
No, we left together. John got in my car, and we were leaving. We're going to leave.
Where were the girls?
The girls are in the house, stayed in the house.
They were staying at John's house?
Yes, correct.
Where did you go?
We went to CF McCarthy's.
When you got there, did you know anybody who was there other than you and John?
At that time, no.
Did you spend time at CF McCarthy's?
Yes.
Were you drinking?
Yes.
Was John drinking?
Yes.
Alcohol?
Yes.
How long were you there for?
A couple hours.
While you were there, did anybody come and meet you that you knew?
Yes.
Who?
A friend. And then Karen came in.
The friend?
Yes.
What was the friend's name?
Kurt.
And then how long after you first got there was it that the defendant arrived?
I would like to say within an hour, so not 100% sure.
You said back home it was a celebratory mood. Was it still a celebratory mood at McCarthy's?
Yes.
When the defendant arrived, did she spend time with you and John?
I talked briefly to her, and her and John were mostly talking.
Okay. You didn't see any issues?
No.
It was a normal night?
Seemed to be, yes.
As far as you could see?
Yes.
And you saw John drinking.
Yes.
Did you see the defendant drinking?
I saw her with a glass, yes.
Did you leave at the same time that John left?
No, I did not.
When you left, was John still at the establishment?
Yes.
When you left, was the defendant still with him?
Yes.
Why did you leave?
I left because I got a phone call. My son was playing hockey in the backyard, and he got hit with a stick and lost his tooth.
Oh. Where did you go?
I went to my son's friend's house.
Do you know about what time that was when you went to see your son?
I would like to say 9:30, between 9:30 and 10.
You didn't go back to McCarthy's that night, did you?
No, I did not.
After you helped your son, where did you go next?
I went to pick up my daughter, Madeline,
Did you go
at John's house.
Did you go in John's house?
No, I did not.
When you got to John's house, did your daughter come out?
No. We went to the side door
Okay.
and rang the doorbell.
And then what happened?
And then my daughter came to the door.
Where'd you go?
From there, we left and went home.
When you went home, had the weather changed at all?
It was cool. It might have been flurrying at that time.
No accumulation?
No.
You got home?
Yes.
Did you do anything significant when you got home?
Put the kids to bed, my son, and no, I went to bed.
What's the next thing you remember happening?
Waking up to, I missed some phone calls.
Who were the missed phone calls from?
From my wife and Karen.
What did you do?
I called my wife.
After speaking to your wife, what did you do?
I got in my car and drove to John's house.
About what time was this?
In between maybe 5 and 6 a.m.
What was your mood at that point?
I was panicked.
Why did you go to John's house?
Because I went to get Kaylee.
Did you know if she was alone?
Yes.
How long did it take you to get to John's house?
Maybe 5-7 minutes.
When you get to John's house, what do you see?
I pull in the driveway. I see that the garage door is open. I go in through the garage door. I don't know if Kaylee was standing there, if the door, she came out the door, and I asked her, if she needed anything, she could get in my car and stay warm.
When you first saw Kaylee, what did she look like?
She looked distraught.
Did you try to help her?
Well, I think I just said everything will be okay.
Did she come with you?
Yes.
Where are you going?
To my house.
So what happens?
So we go to my house, and my daughter's up, and the two girls they were hanging downstairs, just hanging out, just being kids. And then, I don't know, a couple hours later, maybe, Paul called me and asked me to bring Kaylee home.
Did you know anything at that point?
I did, yes.
You did or didn't?
At that point, I did when Paul had told me.
So what do you do?
Ask Madeline and Kaylee if I'd say, Madeline, we come for the ride. I don't say anything to Kaylee, and we get in the car, and I start heading back to John's house.
And you didn't say anything to Kaylee?
No, I didn't. I just said everything will be all right. She had a feeling.
Why do you say that?
She didn't want to go home.
So what happens next?
So I pull in the driveway, and I remember Paul and Papa standing. I think they were standing at the side door, and we just embraced.
Did you stay?
No, not long. No,
Did you go back?
I was to the house. I went back to my house.
Did you go back to John's house?
I did the next day. Yes, I was there.
When you went back, were there people there?
Yes,
Many?
there was people coming and going.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Camerano.
Good morning.
This is quite painful for you to remember the events of January 28th, is it not?
Yes,
You were very close with your friend John O'Keefe, correct?
I was close with them. Yes,
And you actually met Karen Reed through John, correct?
correct.
After meeting Karen, you spent a good amount of time with both Karen and John, correct?
Correct.
As of January 28th of 2022, you had known Karen for maybe about a year or so,
Sounds correct.
and you'd see them especially on Fridays, correct?
Correct.
That would be sort of the day that you get together with both of them often.
Yes,
And of course, your children spent a lot of time with John and Karen, right?
correct.
You entrusted both Karen and John with your kids.
Yes,
Sometimes your kids would even go on vacation with Karen and John, right?
they did go to the Cape. Yes,
Sometimes you'd see Karen without John at your house or on a ball field.
correct.
And your daughter in particular would sometimes spend time with just Karen without John, correct?
Correct.
Your daughter would sometimes go over to Karen's house in Mansfield when she lived there, correct?
Correct.
And obviously, when your daughter would go to Karen's house in Mansfield, Karen would be the one in charge of caring for her, correct?
Correct.
And you were fine with that because you liked and you trusted Karen, right?
Correct.
And in your view, Karen was very good with kids, right?
Correct.
But you also had the opportunity to see Karen and John together, right?
Yes,
You saw how they interacted with each other over that year period that you knew Karen.
yes,
You saw how they got along.
yes,
And you never observed any arguments or bickering, correct?
I mean, they argued and bickered.
You had previously testified that you wouldn't even call it arguing, you just call it banter, right?
Yes, I mean, he would, I mean, no, he would get upset or like over if she bought expensive things for the kids.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we will get to that. That would be the one thing that John would complain about, Karen buying like very nice things for his niece and nephew, right?
correct.
Or he'd complain if, Karen was taking his niece and other girls to get their nails done, like extravagances like that.
Correct.
And one specific memory you have is when Karen bought his niece a very expensive sweater, right?
Correct.
And you recall John telling you that he wished that she hadn't done that because he considered that to be spoiling the girl, correct?
Yes,
But it was very clear to you from your observations that Karen really, really liked John. I'm sorry, John really, really liked Karen, right?
Sustained.
He certainly never told you or even suggested he was thinking about or planning to break up with Karen, right?
no,
Okay, so with regard to that Friday night, January 28th, sir, the plan was for you and John to go to McCarthy's to have some drinks because there was a storm coming in, correct? And because of the celebration of the girls getting into Bishop Fen?
well, yeah, we were going out. It wasn't a continuation of the celebration of the girls. We were going out to have a few beers as guys.
Okay. And when you were leaving the house, John asked you to move your car, right?
Correct.
Where was your car when John asked you to move it that night?
I backed up my car. We were leaving the driveway, and John asked me to stop so he could move his car.
I see. And he wanted you to move your car because of the storm coming in, and he wanted Karen to be able to pull her car into the garage, right?
Correct.
And that was really thoughtful of him, wasn't it?
Yes, extremely.
And it showed you that he was being chivalrous toward Karen that night, right?
Yes.
He didn't want Karen to be out in the heavy snow later when she returned to his house during the expected blizzard, right?
Sustained.
You took from that there was an expectation that Karen would be coming back to his house, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You had no inkling that day that anything was wrong between Karen and John, correct?
No.
Everything seemed fine between the two of them, right?
Yes, he did mention though that night that he didn't understand why Karen had a plumber go to the house.
Because he had somebody that could have done that work instead of paying for the plumber, right?
Well, yes.
Okay.
And
But in any case, the plan was for Karen to meet up with the two of you, right?
yes.
And she did show up to McCarthy's at about 8:30 p.m. or so?
Yes, I guess if that's the time.
And you saw an affection.
I'm sorry, what was the answer that you
If
said?
that was the time, I'm not sure about the timeline.
Okay. It was sometime after you'd
Yes.
gotten there. Right.
Correct.
But you do remember when Karen arrived, there was an affectionate greeting between John and Karen, right?
Yes.
You saw them kiss, right?
Yes.
You saw John put his arm around Karen,
Correct.
and you saw that Karen sort of nestled into his embrace.
Correct.
And when she did that, that's when he kissed her, correct?
Yes,
And they seemed happy to see each other, did they not?
they did.
That night they were affectionate,
Yes.
laughing,
Yes.
happy,
Yes.
like a normal couple.
Yes.
No arguments.
No.
You witnessed no bickering, no tension, correct?
No.
And during the month before John's passing, that January of 2022, you observed their relationship in your presence to be normal, caring, and affectionate, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
You were asked a number of questions about the relationship between John and Karen that night. Do you know what was going on behind closed doors other than what you saw?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No.
Do you know whether or not they texted each other that day?
No. That day, no.
Do you know whether or not there was any arguments that day?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Not to my. No, I don't know if they were. Well, I don't know if they were arguing over the plumber situation. I
Do you
don't
know if there's any vulgarities that day?
No.
Do you know if there's any vulgarities that night?
No, not to my knowledge.
Do you know whether or not John was trying to end the relationship with Miss Reed?
Objection.
Do you know that, sir?
No.
Next question.
Do you know if there was any jealousy in that relationship?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I mean, I mean, Karen wouldn't let. I mean, they did everything together, a lot of things together, and I thought at times, yeah, you could see, she didn't want other women around John. I don't know, not at that, but.
Thank you.
Any follow-up?
Not very much.
All right, Mr. Cameron, you're all set, sir.
Thank you.
So I'll just get them down, please.
I'll see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please.
For what? What do you need to see counsel at side? And here goes Karen up to sidebar. She didn't learn from the first trial, apparently, that her control tactics and issues are not good look for the jury. She clearly did not learn. Hi, Trisha. Yeah, right? Free Richie the plumber. He's missing. Let's find him. Like, this would be, there's Paul O'Keefe. That's a very close friend to the family sitting right next to Paul. There was a video that we all did giving love to the O'Keefe family that was given to her, and they saw it the first day of trial, which was perfect timing. So I hope it gave them strength that day and all the days through, because they know that we're here if they need us. I mean, look at Karen's family. Like, they're completely oblivious to the fact that this is not going well for them. Not even a little bit. Like, poor Paul. Have to sit through a second trial. Yes, it is John's ex-girlfriend, but she's also a very close family friend. Yeah, the Aruba thing shows exactly how jealous she was. God forbid somebody who he knew that she didn't gave him a hug, you know? God forbid. Yep, she was. This would be a good time with almost 200 of you, just 5 shy of 200 for you guys to hit the like button. Yeah, this is not going well. Right? Find Richie the plumber. Find him. Oh, yeah, definitely classic, like, narcissism, control. It also shows that, like, the whole being on the laptop thing the entire time, it's not a good look. You're a defendant in a murder trial, and you're not even paying attention to, like, what's going on in your own goddamn murder trial. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. Like, that is a bad look. I don't know why her attorneys wouldn't redirect her unless they can't redirect her, and they've tried, and she just refuses. But this would be a good time for everybody to hit the like button, the share button to share with other people, for a place to watch and let them know that we have a Karen cam. And if you want to donate to the channel, you know, it's funny because believe it or not, trial days are actually my slowest for donations because most people are just paying attention to the trial, even though they're the longest, right? Because trial days are the longest. Usually I'm 3-4 hour stream. This is 8 hours and then a lot of work after or before stream. So if you want to help out, this is how you can do so. At the bottom of the screen, there's also a ticker that's right below that one that scrolls by through the entire stream so you can catch the information. We have a link for Apple Pay for people who have Apple Pay and want to use Apple Pay. We can put it in the chat for you guys. Very well appreciated, because the only way the channel over here survives is from donations from our amazing community and viewers, and we appreciate you guys more than you know. We don't have monetization again yet. We're still working on it. We're basically just waiting on YouTube at this point. But it definitely makes a difference, that's for sure. I just I'm trying to find a different thing other than StreamYard. They probably 6 months ago, they doubled their price from $20 a month to like almost 50, like 48 with tax, like ridiculous.
May I?
Please.
I'm going to recall Nick Garino.
Okay.
Nick Garino. That means there's some text messages coming in. Let's do it. Text message. And that's exactly what should have happened in the first trial, Casey. Should talk more about John, who he was. You know? I don't know. We're about to find out, Suzanne, because he's bringing texts in right now. Thank you, Agent 99, for hitting the like button, my friend. Oh, thank you, LA Connection. I'll read it on the next sidebar. Oh, you're out of the bushes now? Thank you, my friend. We missed you. Yeah, this is not going well for Karen. I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
And these texts are not going to look so good, especially after United tried to paint a picture of, like, they were so loving and kind and beautiful. Wrong. Behind closed doors, you never know what's going on in someone's life.
So you can have a seat. I'll remind you, you're still in your.
Or stand, however you're most comfortable.
No,
to. Just
Peggy's
do
not.
whatever you
Doesn't
need
look
to
like
do,
she's
okay?
there right now. She's probably watching from home. I can't
Morning,
blame her. I wouldn't. This is a second trial. She's been through a
Sir,
first one.
yesterday we talked about downloading phones and making what you called extractions.
Yes.
And from that data, you could create different types of reports.
So have Detective Guarino say his name again, please.
I'm sorry. Again, for the record, could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name for the record?
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Nicholas Guarino, Guarino.
Thank you.
Sir, you mentioned yesterday that you downloaded a number of phones, or you were involved in the process of downloading a number of phones.
That's correct.
You explained to us that after you have the data analyzed, you can pinpoint certain items that you may want to put in a document.
Yes. So the extractions into a program of our choosing, Cellbrite is the most commonly used, and then we can take call logs or text messages, any information that the investigator is looking for.
When you downloaded Mr. O'Keefe's phone and you downloaded the defendant's phone, did you try to create, or did you create a report through Cellbrite, the software, that would show you all of Mr. O'Keefe's call logs?
Yes, I did.
And when I use the term call logs, what does that mean?
The call logs are the calls that the phone receives.
How do you create a report from Cellbrite? Can you just walk us through that process briefly?
Yep. So in the program, you can go in and select the calls from it and export it into different formats, PDF, XML, HTML, or you can create a portable case and extract them all as a portable case that we would see on my computer.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you a document of Mr. O'Keefe's call logs. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is it?
It is the call logs. Just want to make sure it's between John O'Keefe and the defendant from, just want to see the dates, the 28th, January 28th, 2022 to January 29th, 2022.
Would this contain all the phone calls from his phone data, the calls between those two parties that night?
Yes, that's what I created.
Thank you. I'd like to move this as an exhibit, please.
Okay. So,
If I could, Your Honor, just want to clarify, make sure we got the same.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Consent.
okay.
No objection.
You captured all of the phone calls between two parties on that last document. Can you also do that with chats?
Yes, that is true.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes, I did.
Did you create a document of chats between the phones of the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe for after midnight, for the evening hours of January 29, 2002?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'm good.
You recognize that document, sir?
Yes, I do.
And can you tell us what that is?
These are the texts from the defendant to John O'Keefe. Yes.
For January 29th, 2022?
Yes, that's correct. So I'm sorry.
Thank you. I move this as an exhibit, Your Honor.
Okay,
No objection, Your Honor.
thank you.
Exhibit 24.
Did you identify or specify chat messages between John O'Keefe and a person named Jen McCabe?
Yes, I did.
Did you create a Cellbrite report?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Can we have just a brief moment, please?
It's sidebar?
No.
Just the two of them?
Compare them, what we have.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're welcome.
Sir, I'm handing you a document. Do you recognize it?
Yes. This is the text messages between John O'Keefe and Jen McCabe on January 29th, 2022.
And this is through a search of Cellbrite. You match their data, pull up all of their conversations.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I move to introduce this, please, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
25.
Similarly to the chats, did you do the same with calls between Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. McCabe?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you a document, sir. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, this is the call log between John O'Keefe and Jen McCabe for, just want to make sure I have all the dates correct, just for January 29th, 2022.
I think good evidence, Your Honor.
Okay.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 26.
Did you do a file extraction and a report on all chats between the phones of John O'Keefe and the defendant for a period of time?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Handing you a document. Do you recognize that document? Handing you a document.
Yes, this is the text messages between, yes, this is the text messages between John O'Keefe and the defendant from January 28th to January 29th, 2022.
Thank you. Your Honor, move this into evidence.
Okay. Mr. Lessie?
No objection, Your
All
Honor.
right. Thank you.
Exhibit 27.
Did you have an opportunity to make a report from some of the data from the defendant's phone from January 29, 2022?
What are you referring? I did make some reports from the defendant's phone.
What's a call log report?
Again, the call log report is the calls that the party makes to another phone. So it's going to show everyone they've called or attempted to call.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you to take a look at this document. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
And could you tell the jury what it is?
It's the call log from the defendant's phone for January 29th, 2022. It looks like everyone she called.
Introduce this as an exhibit, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
28.
What we just introduced into evidence is the entire call log of calls to anybody and everybody to and from for that period of time. That's fair to say?
Yes, that's correct.
And then can you further isolate calls between just two parties?
Yes, you can. You can search by phone number or name.
And did you do that with the defendant's records for some parties?
Yes, I did.
Did you isolate phone calls between the defendant and Ms. McCabe for the evening of January 29, 2022?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Guys, take a look at this document. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's the phone calls from the defendant and Jennifer McCabe, January 29th, 2022.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to move this into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
29.
Did you isolate calls between the defendant and Ms. Roberts for the night of January 29, 22?
Yes, I did.
Can I see the last exhibit, please? Thank you, sir. I asked you to take a look at that document. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
Could you share with the jury what it is?
Yep. It's the call logs between the defendant and Carrie Roberts for January 29th, 2022. Yes.
That's a report you created.
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, listen to evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Exhibit 30.
Did you have an opportunity to isolate and produce a report for all chats between the defendant and Ms. Roberts for the night of January 29, 2022?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
So I'm handing you a document. You recognize that?
Yes.
And could you share with the jury what that is?
This is text messages between the defendant and Carrie Roberts on January 29th, 2022.
I would move this into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Jurors, this is the way we have to put evidence in cases in Massachusetts, okay?
Exhibit 31.
So do you have an opportunity to identify a text message or a chat between the defendant and a person by the name of Ingrid on the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Take a look at this document. Do you recognize it?
Yes,
Could you tell the jury what that is?
yes, this is a text conversation between the defendant and looks like a group chat between Ingrid Curtis and Bill Curtis.
So did you make that report?
Yes, this is on January 29, 2022.
Thank you. And move this into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Exhibit 32.
If this is a good time, if the honor would permit.
Okay.
Jurors, what we're going to do is we will take our morning recess now, and we'll take 20 minutes to a half an hour. We'll see you then.
I said, of course, the judge wanted to take her morning break already at 10:20. So she can't even go 2 hours without taking that goddamn morning break already. Like, come on, man. Like, I was in the middle of trying to put the second screen's thing on so it can stand, and I haven't had a chance to like set it up. I still haven't done the green screen. So I'm trying to, you know, yeah, it is a new name. I think we heard Ingrid last time, but I don't think we saw those texts. So that's something new. Like, oh no, is everything okay, Anna? Also, we'll send a big thank you to LA Connection for our first donation of the day. She sends $10 and says, thank you for the coverage. Thank you, LA. I appreciate you, my friend. It is always a help when someone donates to the channel. And funny enough, it's actually slower. I get much slower on trial days for the channel, monetarily wise, funny enough. Don't ask me why. I think it's because everybody's so focused on paying attention to what's happening here, you know? Like, but I appreciate it very, very much, LA Connection, for your $10 donation to the channel. I know, Insider Man, it drives me absolutely nuts. Like, do 2.5 times, Anna. Well, I don't have monetization right now. It was paused. Because the FKR people decided to attack my channel with like fake reports. So it was paused. I had to wait 6 months to reapply for monetization. I reapplied. So currently they don't take anything because I don't get anything from them. I only get donations through Cash App and PayPal and Venmo. PayPal is the only one that takes from that. I pay taxes later on in the year, 1099s through the Cash App and Venmo. They send me a form every year and I file it that way. But currently, we only have Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and a link for Apple Pay. PayPal automatically takes a cutout. If that answers your question. Eventually, once YouTube is monetized, though, they take a hefty amount, 50%, 40, 50, depending on what it's from, whether it's, you know, it's views or nothing, really. Unless you're getting millions and millions of views, you're not really getting paid much. Like, yeah, the link at the bottom is for Apple Pay. That's in the chat right now. We actually, PayPal's the one that figured that out for me. It like sent me a thing saying like, Apple Pay, you have people that have Apple Pay, you can make this link. Like, okay, cool. Appreciate it. Like, but it frustrates me that we're still taking a morning break at 10:20. Like, what in the actual hell, man? Like, I mean, yes, we're probably going to see some new texts. That's the exciting part, is we are probably about to see some brand new texts that we didn't see before. But remember, this is a different trial, right? We're in a second trial. Things are going to be done differently than it was done last time. Hank is going to call different witnesses. Some witnesses you saw last time, might not see this time. And there's going to be things that weren't used in the first trial that will be used in this trial. So there are going to be new things in this trial, 100%. I don't know. I didn't hear. All I heard was the judge say, well, we'll take our morning break then. Like asking for a 5-minute break, like Brennan usually does, like give me 5 minutes or give me a minute to do whatever. And the judge wanting to take the morning recess for, she said 20 minutes to a half hour. Usually the morning recess is supposed to be 15 minutes. So you're taking a half-hour break for a morning break. You're taking an hour break, which is supposed to be 40 minutes, an hour break for lunch, and another break sometime after lunch between then and the last part of the day. It's weird. Like she'll off, like, I don't think I've ever seen a judge take the amount of breaks that she does. Like usually it's a lunch break and maybe one like 30-minute break split into two. So like instead of one 30-minute break in the morning and maybe 1:15 or 10 or 20 in the afternoon, they take 30 minutes and they split it up between the morning and the afternoon. So like a 15-minute and a 15-minute, but they also don't stop early. They don't stop a half hour early at 3:30. Most courts go, not in Massachusetts, but until 5, some well after 5 p.m. Some states have night courts. Some states have courts that are open 24/7, like all night long. Like, not that they're doing trials all night long, but their state, it has courts that are open and they're doing hearings and stuff for people who had been arrested during the day or after like business hours. But what I've like, Massachusetts is really like one of those states that like really frustrates me when it comes to trials, because they want to be there at 9, but they never start on time. Sometimes the judges don't get on the bench until they have you there at 8:30. They want you there a half hour before or an hour before. So 8 or 8:30 before the court is supposed to officially start. It's supposed to start at 9. Sometimes court never starts until 9:30, 10 o'clock sometimes even past that, depending on the judge. So it never starts at 9. The judges just stroll in whenever they want. People could be waiting in the courtroom for an hour or more for the judge to come just to even start the day. It's really frustrating. And our judges aren't voted in. That's another frustrating part of Massachusetts. We cannot get rid of really bad judges that are put in, unfortunately, because it has to go through, like, there's 2 ways to do it, but like the fast track route, which isn't fast at all, would be to go through our lawmakers. There's no way for us as citizens to say, this is a bad judge and this judge needs to stop being a judge. Like, our lawmakers put in a bill, essentially, kind of like a bill, and goes to a committee. It almost never gets voted out of that committee, which means it's dead at that point. It is dead. And even if by some miracle it gets voted out of that committee, okay, it ends up dead anyway, because none of the lawmakers want to put their name on voting out a judge. Like, saw a comment on one of TB's posts that asked, when did jurors start dropping out? I have a feeling there is a plan to harass these jurors so they drop out to the point there aren't even 12. Well, that's unfortunate. I mean, it's not a shocker to me that they would be planning something like that. But I will say that this is why they have 18. I believe it's 18 total. And, I'm sure that these jurors were warned about, like, it being risky and that kind of stuff, Hank Brennan has an email. It's open to the public and it's on the documents, just FYI. I meant to send it to you yesterday and I totally space kidded it out. That's my fault. But I meant to send it to you after stream yesterday. I have so many things that go on, like right after my stream. I usually get phone calls, text messages, emails, all this stuff. And then I got to go around and answer all my text messages, emails, DMs, phone calls, etc., etc. And then I have my basic everyday stuff, my house chores and all that fun stuff. So I forgot yesterday. That's my bad. But he has an email that is open to the public. And it's on the court documents. So I think it's hank.brennan at mass.gov. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to look specific, but I'm pretty sure it's hank.brennan at mass.gov. But you can, report anything to the court that you think is concerning, and you should report anything to the court that is concerning like that. That's kind of why one of the jurors in the last trial who touted around in a bar drunk talking about the case and how she was basically FKR and was going to get Karen off, hence why she was dismissed. There was some talk of her being pulled over by an officer after leaving the bar and them letting her go because she told them she was a juror and needed to be there for jury duty the next day. So I don't know how true that is. That's just something that obviously I heard. I have no clue the truth to it or not to it. I wasn't there, obviously, but that's concerning nonetheless. It's very concerning. I do think that Hank was extra careful this time because he knows what happened last time. So I think he was definitely more careful on using his strikes and making sure that, if there was someone that the defense seemed to favor a whole lot, that he could use the strike to say, nope, absolutely not. So I think all we can do is hope at this point. Yeah, a lot of sidebars. She's so fast to want to leave at the end of the day. She could deal with some of these issues at the end of the day instead of having endless sidebars. You know what I mean? Endless freaking sidebars. There is no remember, if you email him, it can be public record. Just FYI, just so everybody's fully aware. If you email him, the whole thing can be public record. Okay? Just that's a heads up for anybody who's emailing. It is public record after that. So it can be requested after the trial's over, maybe not during the trial, but it can be requested and received. So just know if you're using your own personal email with your name on it, there's a good chance that it'll, be out in the public eventually. So just keep those things in mind when you're doing it. You can send them anonymously. You don't have to use your own name if there's something concerning. I just want y'all to be careful because nobody deserves to be harassed because they did the right thing and emailed the court for something that was seriously concerning. Just know that whatever email you do it from, that's, if it has your name in it, I suggest using something else unless you just don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Personally, they've harassed me since 2023, so I don't care, but I use my own email because I don't give a shit. But some other people might, you know what I mean? So it's important to know, it can be public record. You can make a new Gmail to send it. You can say that again, Agent 99. It probably is. I mean, I can only obviously speak to Massachusetts, but I'm sure a lot of the states, especially in the Commonwealth or in the general area of New England, are probably run the same or around the same. It's just frustrating. Yeah, I mean, he probably did ask for a break, but I know that he wasn't asking for a half an hour. You know what I mean? She I think overdoes it, the judge. I do not know which witness is next. I know that Hank is doing it in a way that it's he's mixing them together. The firefighters and police officers, he's mixing those people in with the witnesses and the family members. So that is sort of how he's going to do it. I do not know who specifically or what order it is, but I know that he's doing a mix of them this time instead of the way Lally did it, which was all the first responders, all the police officers, and start from the beginning of the story till the end. I think the way Hank's doing it makes sense. Mixing them in and sort of just going along the storyline and using them as they sort of come in to the storyline, but at the same time, he's using Trooper Garino to call him back and forth to authenticate text messages and read text messages. And so Trooper Garino was hit by a drunk driver, and the defense knows this. And this is what pisses me off about them whining and bitching about an independent reader. There was nothing wrong with an independent reader. It should have been allowed. Once again, the defense bitched and whined about it, but there was no reason. No, Hank preps all the witnesses ahead of time. So you're not going to ever see him prep a witness before they, like right before they get on the stand. It usually happens days or weeks ahead of time. He probably just needed to get something set up or paperwork out that would have taken a minute to put in order. Again, I mean, because he's got to give a copy to the defense of certain things so that the judge is going to ask if there's any objections and blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's another thing. All those things in some states are ironed out ahead of time so that that doesn't get interrupted by, do you object to this? Usually it gets ironed out before trial. That way they can say, they can just skip over that part. Like, no, there is no objections. This was agreed to already ahead of time. Like all the clips, I hope she watched them all last night because there's no reason that we should have to stop the defense, watch it, send the jury out, send them back in. There's too many clips for that. And the judge should have nipped that in the butt right away instead of waiting. You know what I mean? Like you're slowing the trial down. Like, and that's the only reason why she asked for the whole thing was, because it's slowing the trial down. You should want to do this, not just because it's slowing the trial down, but because it's making it like longer for everyone else, not just you, Your Honor. Like you stop a trial in the middle of questioning. I've never seen that. Like, especially early. Like if you're stopping it like at 4, a little after 4, okay, cool. Yeah, I understand that. But stopping a trial in the middle of testimony when it's not even 4 o'clock yet, like that stuff makes me want to like cringe. And no, it's not fair to the jurors either. You're right, Joan. It's not fair to the jurors. Like they shouldn't have to be sent out every time the defense wants to watch a 10-second clip. They know every single thing Karen has said. You let her say it, right? Like, so it really at this point shouldn't be up for debate. Like it should have all been handled ahead of time so that we didn't have these back and forths. Like Katie something, a Boston reporter at the trial. Are you sure it's not Gretchen Voss? Reported that the jury was aghast when Brennan played that clip. One juror dropped their jaw in utter shock. Oh, no good. No good. I know John DePetro's in there. Has anybody caught up with his tweets and seen anything there? Because he's usually pretty good about letting us know what the jury is looking like. Because I mean, come on, dude. If they weren't on that clip of her like making fun of Peggy, like and that's another thing. We saw the Karen cam during that. She knew it started to play. She watched it. And then as it was coming to that part where she makes the face, she turned away from it, all pissed off, and got right back onto the computer. Like, and that shows the jury exactly who she is. She can't even be bothered to pay attention to the questioning in her own trial. She's too busy on the computer. I've never seen anything like it. If you're representing yourself, I've seen that, but not when you're hiring a multitude of high-priced lawyers. Like let the lawyers do their job. You know what I mean? Let the lawyers do their job. It just doesn't make sense to me. It really, really does not. But once again, a lot of this doesn't make sense. This whole trial, some of it doesn't make sense to me. It gets me. It literally, oh, you missed it? It was after, oh God, can somebody fill me in? Was it after Whitley or before? It was after Whitley, right? No, nope. They played the clip where Karen made fun of Peggy. I want to say it was after Whitley, but I could be wrong. They played it though, and she did not look good. I promise you that. She just didn't look good at all. It made her look very bad. And I would have loved to see the jurors' faces when that was played because it shows her lack of empathy, her lack of sympathy. And I knew the judge was going to have to let Brennan play it because once again, it's the defendant's own words. She decided to do a global interview knowing it was going to be played to a global audience. And she chose what tone she was going to say it in. So for her attorneys to then whine and bitch about the tone she said it in and say it's prejudicial. Well, you allowed it to be prejudicial when you let your client or when your client decided she was going to speak to a global audience. That is nobody's fault but yours and hers. Anything she says can be used against her. That is very well known. You allowed her to do it. It's going to be used. Like, it was, those clips were already allowed, right? We knew that there was like 400 hours of interviews and clips, like total of like raw footage and shit. Like, what did he think was going to happen? The defense very well knew that it was going to be used. They never thought a second trial would happen. So what they did in that ID Discovery documentary was basically take a sort of victory lap. Like, oh, hey, like they never thought there would be a second trial. They thought they were going to get her off. It's very clear that that's what they thought. They thought wrong. What I don't seem to understand is that how Jackson doesn't get that his tactics the first time around did not work. His flashy LA style is not going to work here in Massachusetts. I made that abundantly clear in the first trial, and I will say it again now. We are a different kind of people here in Mass. We are a different kind of people here in the Boston area. Okay? It's a different kind of world than LA. Okay? You can go to LA and you come here and it's literally like living on two different planets. It's very, very different. What flies in LA is not going to fly here. It's just not. So I am surprised that he hasn't like toned down his like LA flashy nonsense, knowing that in the first trial it didn't work. Also, they have the information from the first trial to go on, knowing that the jury didn't really buy the conspiracy. They found Jen McCabe to be credible. They found a lot of the witnesses to be very credible. Like, why they haven't adjusted for that, I don't understand. Like, again, in my opinion, that's ineffective counsel, but the judges made her sign an ineffective counsel paperwork for certain things so that she cannot go back and say, oh, this was ineffective counsel, because she made the choice. So the judge is like, all right, well, if this is this risky choice that you want to make, then you're going to need to sign this waiver saying that you cannot go back and say that it was ineffective counsel on appeal if you don't like the results of this choice. Like, and so she kind of, Karen screwed herself on that too. So it's like, but I don't understand. High-priced lawyers and all, you'd think that they would, you know, like adjust, like from what you know in the first trial. You know the jury did not buy the conspiracy. You know they didn't buy the nonsense. So why not adjust for that at this point? Why? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me that they're not like adjusting for what they know didn't work in trial one. They're just doing some of the same things that did not work in trial one, in trial two. Like, well, that's another thing. Yannetti thinks he can be Jackson, and they're two different people. Like, let's see. Sorry, I'm missing some comments here. I went on a tangent. My bad. All right. You can scrub back to around 108 if you want to rewatch that part. Oh, thank you, Insider Man. You are the best for giving that to her. Yeah, no remorse. I saw someone on Twitter post a screenshot of Nick Rocco asking for donations to help pay for ARCA to be flown in for voir dire. Oh yeah, you have no idea. The amount of donations they ask for like for Karen to pay for the lunch of all her high-priced attorneys that own more than one home and drive fancy cars and don't worry about their bank accounts. It's disgusting. Now you want to pay for their voir dire? No. Karen can pay for it with all of that money that she has gotten. Over $1 million. Like, it's just utterly ridiculous. Like, you know, like utterly ridiculous to pay for, like, I could never, if I was her, be like, yeah, have people put out things asking for donations to feed my legal team and then also pay for the experts to come out for voir dire because my legal team lied to the court. I could, what? Like, I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. Like, I don't even ask for help when it comes to, like, I know that I have to go to Pennsylvania at some point to see the scleroderma specialist for my daughter. Like, and that is going to be a hefty cost, right? Like, and I don't even ask for help knowing I need it. Like, it's just really shameful for people who don't need money or help. Like, it's amazing to me. Like, amazing. Yeah, it's from the ID Discovery interview. That's what it's from. So Agent 99 says, yes, isn't that what they say to you when you read your rights? Yeah, they basically tell you have the right to shut the F up. Anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law is exactly what they say. Like, Freak said the Karen Reed defense team can spin all they want, but the jury saw this. We'll see it again, and we'll see Peg O'Keefe every day in the courtroom. There is no way Karen walks away this time. No chance. I don't think there is either. The reporter's name is Katie Benoit. Interesting. That's how I read it, Benoit. That's from John DePetro. And I mean, I agree with him. I agree. Yeah. Oh, it was very nasty the way she said it. She was like making fun of Peg, but also lying because that conversation never happened. There was no kitchen island she leaned over or said that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And imagine doing it knowing a global audience is going to see it, Anna. You know what I mean? Like, imagine doing that, knowing that a damn global, not just this United States, but like the whole world is going to see that. Like, you knew the whole world was going to see everything you said, and you were still so out of touch with reality and out of touch with yourself that you didn't realize. Like, she says something along the lines of like, they say to you, hit John with a car, and she says, no, I didn't hit John with my car. And then she stops and goes, I don't know, it sounds so funny. And she like scratches her head and she's like, I just can't make it sincere enough. It just sounds not sincere enough. I can't be sincere enough. It just sounds funny. Like, I didn't hit John with my car. I didn't hit John with my car. Like, what? First of all, you don't have to make something sincere. It either is or it isn't. You're actually sincere, and therefore it comes across as sincere, or you're not actually sincere, and you're, in her own words, trying to make it sincere. Why would you be trying to make something sincere? It either is or it isn't. You wouldn't be trying to make anything sincere unless you were lying about it. It's like she dry snitches on herself in small ways. You know, like Agent said, I hope so. No, Jackson style wouldn't work in my area. Hell no. He's a Hollywood attorney that concocted a Hollywood story. Well, that's apparently what he does, is like pick a bad person in every case that he does and point the blame at someone else to create reasonable doubt. Sorry, but like, you're a one-trick pony, Jackson. And here's the problem with that is anybody who says that he's a good attorney, cool. You can be a good attorney if you use that tactic in one case and you win. But when that's the only trick you got, I don't consider that good lawyering. When that's the only trick you got. You know what I'm saying? Like, good lawyers do good cross-examinations. Good lawyers know how to tell the story and create reasonable doubt without having to drag innocent people through the mud. Especially people they know damn well are innocent. Not just people that might be suspect and you could definitely point the finger because there might be something there. But like, they know damn well. Like, that's the problem that I have with all of this. So you can imagine your son being at the hospital and the girlfriend's there screaming, is he dead? Is he dead? Why would you say that? Who says that? Well, that's the other thing. Weird. Like, just strange. Yes. Thank you for posting that in Discord. Right? A lot of people would probably be trauma bonded to this chat. To be honest, some of the people that we have here have been victims of the harassment campaign that was created by Karen Reed and the Sewer Turtle, myself included. Like, so it's a very real possibility, you know? Jackson could have gotten the story from Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, dude was a producer. He was. I mean, he probably was like, hey, if you do this, more people will listen and watch. He's got the numbers for how many people watch or listen on certain things. I absolutely don't just, think that he probably did give Jackson a few tips on how to get people to listen or how to get the public on your side and taint the jury pool, Well, that's the thing, right? Her attorneys are working for free. Clip is, it's from ID Discovery. Like, they're working for free. So what are you doing with the money? So now it's, we need it for voir dire to send in ARCA, and then we need it to feed the whole team lunch every single day of trial. Like, no, they can feed themselves. That's how it works. Usually the defendant doesn't feed their team, especially feeding them at places like Smith and Walensky. I mean, if you go to Karen's life before this trial and after, her life has upgraded. She used to go to pubs in the area. Now she's too good for pubs. It's Smith and Walensky, being carted around to pay for a chauffeur everywhere she goes. Not taking an Uber or a Lyft like a normal person, or having someone drive her like a friend or a family member. Like, most of us have to pay for Uber or Lyft if we don't have a car and can't drive. Like that's what we have to do, unfortunately. Like it costs money, yes, but see, she doesn't care about money because she has more money than she knows what to do with, and her life has gotten better, not worse, in terms of how she lives. Well, that's the thing. There are some unaired pieces of the footage we very well might see that he can use, and there were pieces that Jackson and her team asked to be removed from the ID documentary that we didn't see that was removed on his request. I know. It's kind of sad, to be honest. Like, living in Massachusetts, it really makes me sad, Grave. Really sad. Her narcissist personality does explain it all, but like if she can't let go of the control the way she can't with the computer screen and everything else, not paying attention, like the jury takes all of that. They mentally note all of it. It is not a good look. I am kind of glad they played it in the beginning of the day too, because it does bring it focused back to Peggy's testimony. Like, I don't think Cannoni wanted to play it after Peggy's testimony because it was so emotional, but at the same time, that's where it belonged. So they don't get to whine and bitch about the tone and it being prejudicial. You allowed your client to make the statement. It doesn't. Wherever it gets used, it gets used. That's your own fault. And the judge should not have pandered to the defense on that. They should have said, well, you should have thought about that when you let your client do all these interviews. It's her tone, Mr. Jackson. Nobody made her make that tone. It can't be prejudicial because of the tone. She made that tone herself. I think Brennan said he admitted like 140 clips, and I bet the last clip played at the end will be Karen saying, this is my testimony. Oh my God, that would be amazing if he played that one very dead last. Like, this is my testimony. Like, oh, okay. Oh yeah, she lied about how many drinks. She lied about whether she dropped him off. She doesn't even remember. She didn't remember. She was so drunk, she didn't even remember. She thought she left him at the waterfall. Okay? But yeah, definitely somebody backs up at 24.2 or 3 miles per hour. They definitely do that on accident, right? No, that's definitely on purpose. Rancy Reed is good at reading the room. Yeah, she's so bad at it. Like, literally. Oh, he's going to play the clips the entire trial. Make no mistake about that. That's exactly what he's going to do. And I do think that she is toast. Like, she couldn't read the room if the room was decorated with 6-foot-high letters. That's very true. The clips are great, but stop quick and seem choppy. Yeah, they're not allowed to like montage it, unfortunately. That wouldn't be allowed in court. They have to play them as they are, They can't like make a montage of them, basically. I love silly. So hilarious that Brennan is playing those clips to debunk the argument the lawyer is trying to make in cross-examination with their client's own words. And that's the thing, is what Brennan is doing is basically playing the clips after her attorneys badger a witness for an hour and a half about what was said and what wasn't said and what she did and what she didn't do. And then he drops a clip where she says it in her own words, and it ruins the entire argument the defense just tried to make. Like, this is not going well for them. Yannetti started off his cross on the EMT firefighter this morning angry. He was already angry. Like, the first question, he was like angry, like someone just kicked him in the balls. Like, what are you so angry about already this morning, sir? Like, I think they know that this is not going well for them. But apparently their first and second row of family members are completely oblivious to the fact that it's not going well for them. Because I'm guessing that Jackson and Yannetti are not telling them how bad it's really actually going. They might talk amongst themselves and the other lawyers. They're definitely not telling Karen how bad it's going. Okay, here we go. Coming back.
All right. Could I see counsel for a minute regarding scheduling, please?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Here we go with another sidebar already as soon as she gets in there. Like, ARCA has to come in on Monday and do a voir dire, and they have to bring all the communications with them that they have. I mean, the mother looks like she has Stockholm's. I'm not going to lie. It's my opinion, but she just looks lost and like she's like looking elsewhere and like not even really paying attention to like any, like someone's not home up there, Also, I will definitely say hit the like button, the subscribe button. Please donate to the channel if you can. We only survive on donations from you guys, and it gets slow during trial days. Funny enough, I think it was like $45 I made yesterday for like almost 8 hours, and then after. So it gets slower on trial days because everybody's focused obviously on the trial. But we definitely still need that help. So if you can, we very much appreciate it because we don't have monetization. So we only survive on donations from our amazing community and viewers like you guys, and we appreciate it more than you guys know. Well, that's not very. She made a lot of money. She worked at Fidelity, so she made a lot of money in investments. So she had a pretty penny stashed away before all this began. So she definitely had money. And her dad is a dean at Bentley, so it's not like her family was poor by any means. They're not even middle class. They're definitely upper middle class. And she's always used money, as we know in the past. It was money that she has used to like throw around. $1,500 first class. I've never flown first class in my life. But we would probably drive just because my daughter's medical. We probably wouldn't fly her. We would probably have to drive with all of her medical equipment and stuff, unfortunately. But I think someone said it wasn't. It was like a, I don't know, 12-hour drive, 6-hour drive, something like that. It wasn't too far, maybe 6 or 8 hours. $1,500. That's a lot of money per person too. Like I wouldn't be going by myself, so you know that's a whew. I've never flown first class a day in my life, though. To be fair, I wish. But 1,500, that's what they're gonna fly them each. So that's like Rentschler, and then you know what I mean. So
Okay, thank you.
they're coming from the same area I'm gonna have to drive to, Pennsylvania, right? But like for them to fly first class, $1,500 each, so $3,000. Well, they're gonna have to be here Monday, whether they like it or not. They can fly first class all they want. Karen will pay for it. Don't worry.
All right, the court, please.
Here we go. Back to the fucking fan while we wait for the jury, I guess. Yeah, she ran straight to the body, which nobody else saw. You know? Freaking Pot sounds like a good stage name. Probably is a good stage name. Pot and Breek. She is living quite the life. You drove back from Pennsylvania last week on a tank of gas. Hey, that's pretty good. Unfortunately, I'd have to probably rent a car because I don't own a vehicle. That's just another cost.
Goes back to section 8.
Thank you, Willow. I appreciate you,
All right,
my
Mr. Brennan,
friend.
whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Here we go.
Good afternoon. Just a few more items I'd like you to recognize. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Showing you an envelope. Do you know what's in that envelope?
Yes, the raw data extraction of John O'Keefe's cell phone.
Your Honor, I'd ask it to be marked simply for identification, please.
Okay.
Exhibit A, identification.
Thank you.
Second folder.
Yes, the raw data extraction of Jen McCabe's cell phone that I created.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I'd ask it to be marked for identification as well.
All right.
His comment, yes.
Thank you.
Chess and checkers. Yep, they have to get the documents to the judge.
Trooper, you shared with us that you downloaded the extraction of the phones that you identified, and you made reports based on specific identified features. For example, a conversation between two people.
Yes, so I didn't do the extraction of Jen's phone, but I made those reports with the PDFs from the data extraction.
Relative to Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant's phones, you created a document that provided us the phone calls between them on January 29th.
Yes, that's correct.
And separately, you also provided a document that included all of the chats or text messages between John O'Keefe and the defendant on January 29th, 2022.
Yes, it also included the 28th.
Thank you.
Yes.
And in that compilation, did you put together or do you create or review a PowerPoint of those?
Yes, I did.
And what was the point of that?
Just to show the texts and calls in a chronological order, because that way you're not looking at two different documents, trying to compare and contrast the calls to text messages when each is coming in.
And did you begin that PowerPoint presentation with a call at 2:16:10 on January 28, 2022?
Yes, that's correct.
And are there additional chats or text messages earlier that morning?
Yes, there's a handful starting around 9:45 a.m.
May I
Yes.
approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Handing you a folder, sir. Could you take a look at it? Let us know if you recognize what's in it.
Yes. So this is the bulk of this is the PowerPoint calls and text messages, and at the beginning, there's the messages from before 2:16 in the morning.
I'd like to introduce this as an exhibit, Your Honor.
Okay.
No objection, Your Honor.
Great, thank you.
6:33.
For permission, I'd ask the witness to read the text messages from the morning hours, and then we begin the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a hard copy of those for me?
It was provided. I'll see if we have another copy if you don't have it.
All right, I have, it's in here, the pre-morning hours. The ones that we discussed at sidebar. If you don't have them,
The defense has a copy for you, Your Honor.
thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Little.
Okay, thank you.
May we begin, Your Honor?
Please.
Could you first read the text messages from that morning to the jury?
Yes. Apologize if I misspell things or state things. Start time, all right. It's a little different than the format I had before. All right, this is from Karen Reed to John O'Keefe. You have really hurt me this time. This was sent at 9:49:20 a.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'm sorry, this has been an issue with me for 8 years. It physically hurts me to see everyone else in their life do things for them, and I'm forced to always be the bad guy. This was sent at 10:02:56 a.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm not the same as everyone else. Most of the time I try to do what is healthy/smart for them. More importantly, I try to support you in what you need. You just lashed out at me and said terrible things. I don't know how you've gotten to this point with me when I'm just trying my hardest. You made your point and continue to beat me down. I have a lot going on too. Physically, I am falling apart and trying to get answers and help. 10:09:49 a.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I am just your girlfriend. I am not a perfect parent. I'm trying very hard and sometimes treat them nothing like I used to. 10:46 a.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I know, I'm sorry for lashing out. I'm just hurting and struggle daily with them. Always feel like I'm failing at this parenting thing. I wasn't built for this. 10:12 a.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, Kaylee isn't perfect, but everything wonderful about her is because of you. 12:21:36 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji is sent at 12:21:59 on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, it's true, I know she's her mother's daughter, but she wouldn't be so bright and successful if she lived with anyone else. 12:22:51 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, wow, Kristen just sent 2 back-to-back messages to not lose your faith in the kids. 12:31:28 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or in yourself, at 12:31:41 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, there's 2 emojis sent at 12:32:06 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, and there's 2 emojis. Life can pick you up sometimes. Please be happy with them and put away your frustrations for the rest of the day. And be so proud of yourself, JJ. And that's 12:35 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant. That's what bothers me more than anything. Should have sent Peg's or Sarah's W-2s. We are all equal guardians. 1:18:21 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, maybe you can call someone. 1:21:55 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, like who? 1:46:42 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, what time are you coming here? 1:47:38 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, it's another emoji sent, 2:05:30 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't know what time, feel kind of out of it, just trying to clear my head, 2:06:07 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, he writes, okay, 2:06:25 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, text me when you guys settle in later, 2:06:44 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, sure, 2:06:58 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to, oh, no, it's cut off here, sir.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
That must be where the, so,
Would it be helpful if I take it out of the binder for you?
I believe it, yeah, it goes to the next one, so I'll start. Yeah, sorry.
With the court's permission, we'll begin the PowerPoint.
Yes.
At your leisure.
Okay. The phone calls, text messages, and then we'll start with the first slide. Just from the defendant to John O'Keefe, I feel pretty shitty about how this morning went down. I know you said sorry, but it really stung, especially when I've been trying pretty hard lately. I feel like a loser turning around, just coming back over after everything you said. 2:16:10 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not sure what you want me to do. I said I'm sorry and I was out of line. If you prefer to stay home, I totally get it. 2:17:16 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, things in my own life have been difficult too, you know. 2:17:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I know. 2:17:40 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:17:45 p.m., the defendant calls John. The phone call is answered and they speak for 2 minutes, 22 seconds. 2:23:02 p.m., the defendant calls John. That's again answered. At 1:00, and they speak for 1 minute, 2 seconds. At 2:24:17 p.m., the defendant calls John and the call is rejected. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, tell me if you're interested in someone else. Can't think of any other reason you've been like this. 2:25:18 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, nope. 2:25:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, things haven't been great between us for a while. Ever consider that? 2:26:03 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:28:40 p.m., the defendant calls John. That call is rejected.
Mr. Greeno, can you explain to us the difference between not answered and rejected?
Yes, so if the call is not answered, that means the call rang out and goes to voicemail. If the call is rejected, that is someone actively hitting the send to voicemail button to disable the call, to stop it from ringing. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, kids are here, not in the mood to talk. 2:29:03 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so you're not into it anymore. That's fine, but I don't want to keep trying and you keep treating me like this. 2:29:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm trying to hug and kiss you this morning and you whack me in the face with a pillow. 2:29:59 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, last night you're basically like, yeah, what about when we talk about the future? so why don't you just admit you're not into so much anymore? 2:23 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not how it went down, but okay. 2:26 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please admit your head is out of the game with us? 2:52 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, sick of always arguing and fighting. It's been weekly for several months now. So yeah, I'm not as quick to jump back into being lovey-dovey as you apparently. 2:28 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:47 p.m., the defendant calls John. That call is rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant, OMG, stop calling. 2:54 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, then why would you start with me this morning? 2:58 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you're setting me up to fail. 2:05 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you started a number of fights from your end. 2:26 p.m. on the 28th. And John O'Keefe to the defendant, I've explained it a few times already, not doing it again. 2:31 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so you're not into this anymore. 2:41 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not into fighting all the time, correct. 2:34:03 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, if you tell me you're interested in someone else, you will never hear from me again. You can have all the space in the world. 2:34:11 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, he sends an emoji. 2:34:19 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, then stop starting with me. 2:34:20 p.m. on the 28th. 2:34:29 p.m. the defendant calls John. He rejects the call. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'm not answering. Stop calling. 2:34:42 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please answer after how you treated me earlier? 2:34:43 p.m. on the 28th. 2:34:54 p.m. the defendant calls John. That's rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant, Kaylee is right here. 2:35:02 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, you start a rager with me out of nowhere and then tell me you're sick of fighting with me. 2:35:41 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm going to grab a drink in a bit. 2:38:14 p.m. on the 28th. 2:38:42 p.m. the defendant calls John. That call is rejected. The defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please answer? 2:38:52 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, no Karen, not sure why you need to announce that you're going, not sure why you need to announce that you're grabbing a drink, but have fun. 2:39:46 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, seeing if you want to meet me later. 2:40:22 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please call me? 2:40:32 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, have to take them to the doctor. He has practice. 2:40:55 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, 5 minutes. 2:41:17 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:43:01 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered. At 2:45 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant, my father just walked in. 2:43:58 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, can you please call me for 2 minutes? 2:44:14 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, not right now. 2:44:23 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm there when anyone else needs me. 2:44:26 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:45:32 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. The defendant calls Mr. O'Keefe. Yes, John, you gave me utter grief this morning. I'd like you to call me for amends. 2:46:16 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. I've been trying to get over the hump with is arguing, and now you tell me you're not into doing things, and you don't want to fight weekly, but fly off the handle at 8 a.m. with me, like you're setting me up to fail. 2:47:08 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. I've been dealing with my own personal crisis over things I have zero control over. I'd like to lean on you too sometimes. Instead, I just hear everything I've done wrong. 2:48:34 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:56 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. At 2:51:13 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's rejected. 2:52:37 p.m., John calls the defendant. It's not answered. At 2:53:56, the defendant calls John. Again, not answered. The defendant, John O'Keefe, you seriously cannot pick up the phone for 2 seconds. 2:54:13 p.m. 2:58:05 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's rejected. At 2:59:13, John calls the defendant. The call is answered and they speak for 4 minutes, 59 seconds. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, why don't you meet me at Hillside at 4:30/5, 3:08:55 p.m. John O'Keefe to the defendant sends an emoji at 3:10:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or whenever you get, or whenever you get everyone settled, 3:10:35 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, like I said, doctor now, and he has practice till 6. If you want to go start drinking, then go for it. 3:36:21 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I didn't know the times of his practice. 3:36:40 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I just want to give you space at the house without me there. So rather meet you out than meet at the house. 3:37:01 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, yeah, well, now there's a 72-year-old taking up shop on my couch. 3:37:36 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, that too. 3:37:46 p.m. 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, is he going to Collins? 3:38:23 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, not tonight. 3:38:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so do you plan on going out tonight? 3:39:01 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, Karen, I don't know. 3:39:17 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, you're like jonesing to drink, so go. 3:39:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, well, after how this morning went down, I don't think I need to be back over there with you. Get frustrated at how I am with the kids. Has nothing to do with drinking. 3:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I am paranoid now that everything I do with them is problematic. So rather see you for a minute without it, kids around. 3:40:24 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, what's your plan? At 4:47:16 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, don't have one. 4:50:09 p.m. on the 28th. For John O'Keefe to the defendant, so still home. 4:50:26 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, yes. 4:45 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, we just got home, waiting to see what Papa decides here, or else I have to get Patrick at 6. 4:59:45 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant, John O'Keefe, okay. 5:01:55 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, so are you staying home or coming here? 5:02:23 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, waiting to see what you end up doing. I don't want to hang out at the house too much, like I said. 5:03:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I think it's clear me around the kids, I think it's clear me around with the kids around is slowly killing our relationship, and our relationship is much more important to me. 5:04:16 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, well, there's a blizzard coming, so we'll be inside all weekend. 5:04:19 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, it will be over by noon tomorrow. 5:04:44 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, don't think so. 5:05:27 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't want to keep having this constant conflict of the dynamic of the four of us. The harder I try, the more it kills our relationship as a couple. It feels like utter shit to be in that position. Rather just meet you out for drinks when you figure out what your night looks like. 5:06:45 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, well, I have no idea what's going on, so do what you want. 5:07:34 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, need to figure out what everyone here is doing. All I know now is Madeline is coming over. No clue about Patrick yet, or if Papa is planning on hanging it for a few more hours. 5:09:29 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, well, when you know the story, and if you want me to come up, let me know. 5:12:36 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, no, Karen, you decide what you want to do. 5:13:18 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I know your heart isn't in this anymore. I felt it for a while, and especially lately. I'm willing to try more, but not if you approaching the point of indifference. If you want me to come up and you can head out for a while, then say so when you know what your father is doing. 5:14:23 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, you come up and I head out, really? Emoji. 5:15:48. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I've told you already, I don't bounce back as quickly as you do after we have a battle. 5:16:52 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, head out together with an emoji. 5:17:49 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or meet out. 5:17:54 on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, gonna send Patrick to Collins tonight. They're picking him up around 7. Mike may hang out too when he brings Matt over. So why don't you just come over? 5:19:42 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Mike doesn't want to go out for a bit. 5:20:20 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I would like to, been a shit day from the jump. 5:20:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, probably 5:20:39 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I just got sober an hour ago. 5:20:56 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'll text you, hang with Mike for a few. I don't need to butt in. Text me if/when you think you may head out. 5:25:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you send me Tim Zoll's contact info, please? 5:26:38 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I paid the last bill. 5:27:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, You didn't have to do that, thanks. 5:27:43 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, are you really not going to accept my friend request? 5:32:33 PM on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji on what, FB? 5:33:01 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, we've been going out for 2 years. 5:33:20 PM on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I haven't gone on. You defriended me over a year ago, I believe. 5:33:48 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Kerry texted that they're headed out in a bit. 6:05:29 PM on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, okay, 6:14:55 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, she's going to let me know where. 6:17:51 PM on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, so you're going to meet them. 6:18:12 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, just presenting it as an option. Wouldn't mind hanging out with them for a drink. 6:19 PM on the 28th. Sorry. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, is Mike over? 6:27:26 PM on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, yes, 6:29:45 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, sounds you're like good with getting together tonight. 6:31:32 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, was hoping after this morning you'd be interested in smoothing things over with me. 6:32:24 PM on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, told you to come over, but you insisted on meeting me out somewhere. 6:33:44 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Mike is a little off with me for a while now. I've said that multiple times. 6:34:34 PM on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to Karen, the defendant, time to get over it, Karen. He's fine. He was fine the other night when he came by. 6:38:09 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah. Where are you meeting them? 6:39:28 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't have plans with them. She just said they're headed out in a bit and will text when they land somewhere. 6:39:52 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, if you want to go out with Mike solo, that's fine. Just let me know. 6:40:17 PM on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I already told you what you should do. Not going to keep doing this. 6:41:07 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I asked to let me know if you guys are going to head out. I haven't been out for drinks this week and had a shit week and a shit day. And I dread Kaylee or Pat is going to get chatty with me the second I walk in, and that is going to irritate you. 6:43:21 on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, Pat is leaving, Kay is with Mad Cam. 6:44:02 PM on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'll text Chris then. 6:46:44 PM on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, we're headed out shortly. What's your plan, Karen? 7:06:13 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, do you want me to join or no? 7:06:37 PM on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, yes, wasn't sure if you were meeting the Currans. 7:07:04 PM on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, They are not out drinking yet. 7:07:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, where are you headed? 7:09:22 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, trying to decide maybe McCarthy's, 7:14:48 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay then, let me know where you decide. I'm still down in Enfield, 7:21:50 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, text me when you leave, still waiting on McKinney's, 7:22:28 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm having issues with my hot water, so had to text someone to take a look, 7:24:11 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji, you trying to piss me off, 7:25:35 on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, hope your plumber buddy that you texted is hot, 7:26:24 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, nope, my shower only got lukewarm and now my sink won't run hot at all. The plumber I used is right down the road, 7:26:27 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I turned that temp thing in the basement all the way up, 7:26:52 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, check the hot water heater and see if it's leaking, 7:26:52 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, it's not, 7:26:59 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, don't do that, 7:27:01 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, is the pilot lit, 7:27:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I was trying to get my shower hot, 7:27:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yes, 7:27:14 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, don't turn it up. Don't turn it all the way up, 7:27:26 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, it will burn out, 7:27:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I had this issue twice before and it wasn't a disaster. I just can't remember what the cause was, 7:27:41 on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, just turn it back to where it was and get over here, 7:28:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't want to come home in a blizzard and then really be up shit creek, 7:28:53 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, so you're going home tonight, 7:29:18 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or tomorrow or whenever. I've had a chill all day since my shower, 7:29:45 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, it's going to snow all day tomorrow, no driving, 7:30:05 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, we're headed to McCarthy's, 7:41:29 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, let me know if you end up leaving, 7:41:57 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, why? Now you're not coming, 7:42:27 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm waiting for the plumber. I actually think he's in the driveway, 7:42:56 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, we're taking Mike's car, so I'm relying on you for a ride home if he leaves, 7:43:10 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, he's not going home after, 7:43:27 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, 8 o'clock on a Friday, emoji, 7:43:31 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, he may have to get Michael, 7:43:46 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, you have a plumber coming over at 8 knowing me and Papa could have handled it. Good luck. 7:44:36 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I have always told you I will not put either of you out of your way the way everyone else in your life does. I knew it wasn't working right when you were at the doctor's with Kaylee, and I knew neither of you could get here. And this guy, Richie, fixed it last time, whatever it was. He was supposed to be here at 7:48:01 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, if it's not a quick fix, I'll tell him to forget it. 7:48:20 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, if you need a new water heater, don't let him do it. 7:55:04 p.m. on the 28th. I just want to make sure nothing is wrong/will go wrong with when I'm not home. 7:55:44 on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, he's not a scammer. Half the quick stuff he doesn't even charge me for. 7:56:06 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, he just put the toilet seats on crooked. 7:56:28 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, status 8:09:02 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, still here with an emoji, 8:09:18 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, said he's got to go to HD and probably be back mañana. 8:23:56 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, so 8:24:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, an emoji, 8:25:02 p.m. on the 28th. To John O'Keefe, just trying to figure out if I need to be here, 8:25:51 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, what does it need? 8:26:01 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't know. He showed me some pieces that was all rusted with an emoji. I don't understand half this stuff. 8:26:42 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, on the water heater, 8:26:59 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yes, 8:27:08 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, tell him to leave it. I'll take care of it Sunday or Monday, 8:28:30 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, it's okay. I can either meet him here or just shut off the alarm, 8:28:52 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, he used to work here while I was at work, 8:29:02 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, does he realize it will be whiteout conditions tomorrow a.m., 8:29:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, but he lives right down the road, 8:29:47 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, Karen, this storm is going to be intense. Can't drive. 8:30:19 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, well, if he can't, he can't. 8:30:36 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'll do it Monday. 8:30:56 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I better not still have this problem on Monday. 8:31:22 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, you plan on being there. 8:31:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'd to know I can take a hot shower here if I need to. 8:32:14 p.m. on the 28th. Figured you'd be, from John O'Keefe to the defendant, figured you'd be in Canton until Monday, 8:32:32 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'm getting off my phone. Let me know what you're doing, 8:32:54 p.m. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I think the four of us together is toxic to this relationship. Would like to limit it. 8:33:16 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you said so yourself for probably a year now. 8:33:52 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, blizzard tomorrow. Nobody is going anywhere. 8:33:56 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, maybe I'll come back late tonight. Bad snow is in the early a.m. 8:35:14 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'll head up there in a few min. Let me know if you leave. 8:35:26 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji, he says sure. 8:35:34 p.m. on the 28th. And that was the last of them.
We're almost done, sir.
And you can feel free to stand.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
So that presentation is a compilation of text messages and phone calls between John O'Keefe and the defendant on January 28, 2022.
Yes, that was.
Aside from that compilation, are there other text messages and phone calls that you've reviewed between John O'Keefe and the defendant that evening, January 28, 2002, going into past midnight, January 29, 2022?
Yes, there's more text messages.
And those text messages and phone calls, are they a separate compilation from this?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, this time I'd ask us to release Trooper Gayrino and recall him at a later date.
Yes. All right. There's no objection, Mr. Alessi, correct?
No objection, subject to revenge.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, Trooper. We'll see you another time.
Thank you, Your Honor. You just leave it.
Thanks.
Is this the time for me to see counsel at sidebar? Okay.
Sure, Andrea.
Yes.
Oh my God, please don't do a sidebar.
Exhibits or clips 7 through 11.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Thank you.
With the court's permission, could I begin with clip 7?
Yes.
When you walked out of the bar, how many drinks had you had?
I had probably about 4, and not 4 that I completed either. I didn't drink maybe more than a few sips at the war.
And 4 drinks you felt fine to drive?
Yep.
Clip 8, please.
Okay.
And is the level of intoxication pretty high here for everybody?
It's happy.
Yeah.
It's
You'd had a lot to drink, right?
I wouldn't say I had like a normal amount. Let's say like a vodka tonic every 40 minutes.
Okay. And so are you feeling like buzzed? And I'm not judging, I'm just trying to get a sense.
Buzzed.
Yeah.
Clip 9, please.
The final count summers. The final count of my alcohol intakes, probably about 5 or 6 or 4. The drinks that they were pouring me at McCarthy's, which is where I consumed most of the alcohol, was the weakest vodka tonic. It tasted just like old soda water with lime. Not that I needed to be a martini, but it might have had a splash of vodka in it. So I said, John, this drink tastes like it has no vodka in it. He said, just get a shot and mix it yourself. So each drink was being counted as a double. So I would get a vodka tonic and then I would pour a shot into it. So that would count as 2. Frankly, it just felt like a regular cocktail. It was just a really weak pour. So I asked for a shot. So for my taste, it just tasted like that's the normal strength of what a drink should be. So I had maybe 2 or 3 that are being counted as 4 and 6. And I don't know. I felt fine. I felt like I was buzzed. And then there was one drink, the last one that was given to me, which I would have counted as 3, but they're counting as my 6th cocktail. The guys that we were with bought around the shots, and they gave me one that I didn't drink, but I poured it in my drink. So that's now my 5th and 6th drinks, with the 7th, which is a shot that all the men did, and I poured it. So that one glass that I'm holding, that I go into the waterfall with, has 3 drinks in it, a vodka tonic and 2 shots. And which is why John said to me, you're not leaving that drink here, like you haven't touched it and just poured a bunch of vodka, like just take it with you, which was something he always did. So then I go into waterfall, and I put that drink down and I socialize most of the time. So that would have been my 5th, 6th, and 7th drinks. Then John orders me a drink at the waterfall that I don't drink, that he takes with him. And then there was a round of shots that Chris Howard bought that I did take. So that would have been the night. But I did not consume 9 vodka martinis or take 9 shots, depending on how you count it. And the last 2 drinks I didn't touch.
Clip 10, please.
I mean, I'm not as clear as I would be if I hadn't been drinking. I mean, I had drank, so, and that led me to question, like, could I have hit him? Did I run over his foot or hit him in the knee? Did I incapacitate him? I mean, I always drive with my music blasting ever since I was 16. And I know when John got out of the car to go into Fairview, I know my car was blasting because when I got in it the next morning to go look for him, I had to immediately turn it down. And I don't know, it's stormy. I have had a few cocktails. I didn't black out, but I wasn't as lucid as I would have been if I had gone to bed at 9 and drank a tea. But so I was fuzzier than I would have been if I had no alcohol.
Clip 11, please.
How did you feel after that many drinks? When you got in the car, did you feel like you could drive, and did you feel how well done?
I wouldn't have gotten on the expressway. I wouldn't have gotten on the expressway at 12:15 on January 29th. I mean, it was quiet. The roads were very quiet. You can see it on the videos. And I was going, when I've had a few drinks and I drive, I always drive extra slow. So I know my alerts aren't as sharp as they should be. But I shouldn't have been driving. But I don't think I was driving. I know I wasn't driving recklessly. I mean, I've got plenty of video of myself driving all over the place. I put my car in John's garage, which is incredibly narrow, and I had a very oversized SUV. You see me, there's a video of me driving through the intersection when we leave Waterfall to go to Brian Albert's, and I was always taught by my father, even when you have a green light, you always should tap the brake. You don't know who's going to run red. And I see me doing that multiple times between 12 and 1 and 5 and 6 a.m. So I know I was driving safely, not as safely or as alert as I would be if I had no alcohol. But I was not driving recklessly by any measure.
Thank you. Your may we approach?
Yes.
Oh, sidebar. Yay, sidebar. Not. Those are they're wholly inconsistent with each other, number one. Number two, I mean, what in the actual hell does she think is going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, she just said like 72 different things. Like, that's what we're like. She admitted to driving, saying she shouldn't have drank. That's already reckless, period. That's literally already reckless. Like, weight is not a factor in alcoholism, but it's a factor in, how fast or slow you might get drunk. Usually if you're not fully an alcoholic, or if you start to build a tolerance if you're an alcoholic. And I believe Karen Weldon is an alcoholic.
All right, jurors, there was some confusion with counsel regarding witnesses. So those are the witnesses for today, so we're done for today.
What?
Counsel assures me that won't happen again, but more importantly, we're on track. We're on
Are
schedule.
you serious?
Not going for the rest of the day, won't interfere with our schedule at all. It looks like, I can't tell about the curtains here, but it looks like it's a beautiful day. You'll have a nice afternoon. Tomorrow we'll be going on a view. So for that, we're comfortable clothes. We'll be walking around a little bit. We'll be going by bus.
Unbelievable.
More instructions for you tomorrow morning. But please follow those instructions. Do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent
Come on,
research or
man.
investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. And we'll see you tomorrow morning.
That's really frustrating.
All rise for the court, please.
It's not even 12, and she's already taken 2 fucking breaks. Like, this is like so obnoxious. 3 hours and 14 minutes since I started. I started a half hour before they started even in court. So 2 hours and some minutes? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. A whole half a day wasted. Wasted. For what? For what exactly? Because they didn't want to cross-examine and probably didn't say that they weren't.
All right. Mr. Brennan, have you had an opportunity to think about whether experts should be permitted to either be present or watch the proceeding? And I also want to know, are you expecting to put on any expert testimony tomorrow?
Dr. Fowler will testify tomorrow.
Nice.
I think that should be considered expert testimony. He provides the procedures and protocol for the testing of blood serum.
Okay.
So I think he's technically considered an expert, although one of the briefer ones.
All right. Does the defense want an expert to be able to watch that? All right. So I know we've had a lot going on this morning. Do you want to address this tomorrow? When do you want to address whether experts should be present?
If I can address it tomorrow morning, I can consider.
All right. We'll do that. And have you talked about who you all mean? Like, do you all know who you want to have exempt from the sequestration order?
We haven't got to that detail. I'm sure they have in mind who they want. I haven't gotten to that point yet.
All right.
We can have that discussion so that we can present it tomorrow what my position is and address the court on the witnesses.
Sure, we can do that. And then I know you said that you've got an agreement that you'll provide witnesses or a list of witnesses in advance to defense counsel, and I'm sure you'll provide
Why?
witnesses in advance to
We
Mr. Brennan.
shouldn't have to.
Include me on that, please. I just like to know
Very
who's
well.
coming up the next day because I have to prepare as well.
Happy to. Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah. They
All right,
always do
so we'll
that.
see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you again.
All rise.
That's the thing, right? You're talking about a very expensive fucking team. It's completely useless if your expensive team isn't ready to, cross, or they're saying they're going to cross. And so you're assuming they're going to take, their long-winded amount of time to cross, and then they don't end up crossing. And then you're skipping through all these witnesses and you get to 11:52 in the day. And now there's no goddamn witnesses left. Like, what in the actual hell just happened? Like, this is not, like, what? I'm confused. Like, not acceptable by any stretch of the imagination. Like, this is not okay. Like, this is just bad. Like, well, that's another thing. Like, to be fair, they get to sit all day on all the information that they were just given in those texts, and that's not good for the defense. Just saying, they get to play that over in their brains over and over, and all of those clips get played over and over in their brains. So it's a win and a lose, like. That would be hilarious, potluck, but I highly doubt that. Karen won't concede to anything. She refuses to admit that she did anything wrong, The jury can't see all of this. They can't. They're not allowed to. That's, the jury doesn't get to see. That's why the jury is brought out of the room before they talk about anything, because it would be a bias. Oh, maybe I'll just move the microphone over here. I don't know why it would be crackling. Thank you, though. Maybe because I had my hand on it when I was moving it over. That's possibly why as well. Right? Make no mistake that once she leaves here, that's what she does. She goes and has lunch and then, drinks. Like, I can't. Like, this is such a waste of an entire freaking day. Not that I'm not like, okay, cool, like I have the rest of the day, but like, what the actual F and F? That's a waste of a half of a day. And then, no, they're going to have a half a day. It was supposed to be a full day today. They're going to have a half a day Friday and a half a day Monday. Like, they're going to have to change that now. I don't know. Apparently, they weren't ready, or they didn't call enough witnesses to be scheduled today, so that they didn't realize it was going to go this fast. My guess would be Hank expected them to cross. They didn't cross multiple witnesses, which is why he didn't call in 6 witnesses for the day. He's going to call in 3, expecting them to be crossed. And when they're not crossed, there's no audio. I don't know what's going on. They're not giving us audio on this. Waiting for Karen to come out, but their audio is off. And so I'm guessing that defense counsel never said that they weren't going to cross these witnesses. And so Hank's not going to call 6 witnesses in a day. That would be absurd. You're expecting them to be crossed unless you're told otherwise. That's the thing. The defense usually is long-winded and wants to harp on the same question 17 times till they get the answer that they want. So, I mean, Hank's not going to, 6 witnesses in a day would be a lot. See, that's my problem with this judge, is she takes so many half days, breaks, this, that, the other thing. Like, then you're planning on only having a half day tomorrow and a view, which means they're going to 34 Fairview. They're having a view, right? And then you're having a half day for a voir dire Monday for ARCA, or are you doing a voir dire in the beginning part of the day? No, because you'd have to have a half day because the jury can't be there for the voir dire, which means you're not going to call the jury in Monday. Okay. So that means the voir dire is going to happen in the first part of Monday. That's going to be over. And then that's it for the day, because you're not going to call the jury in halfway through the day. That's not how it works. You call them in the beginning of the day. So that means half day Friday, half day Monday. That's absurd. That's freaking absurd. Like, again, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that I'm not grateful to have more time to do stuff today. Because usually after a 7 or an 8 hour day of stream, like, I do my house chores and I do all the other stuff that I do. I got to check all my emails and social media. I got to get back to everybody, get your text message. I got to call, I got to talk to, I got to go get documents. I got to talk to sources. I might need to go to the store. Like, I know Bev got to eat, right? Like, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I got other things that I do when I'm not live. So I'm glad that I have some extra time today to do that. But it is extremely frustrating because this is the pace the trial went the first time. And it was absurd. It was absurd. It was absurd. Like, it was for me, not sequestering the jury is a mistake. I thought it was a mistake in the first trial. It's a mistake in this trial. The jury should have been sequestered. Massachusetts does not like sequestering juries. They almost never do it. In my opinion, if any case would be ripe for making sure that you sequester the jury, it would have been this one. But Massachusetts does not like to do it because it's taking away their liberties. And okay, well, they chose to be on a jury, right? They didn't say that it would be a financial concern or whatever if they're on the jury right now. So I'm sorry, but that is the safest way, especially in this case with everything that goes on with tampering with the jury and trying to no, they should have been sequestered. Now you want to unsequester expert witnesses to have the expert witnesses watch the other expert witnesses. Okay, well, what stops them from stopping there? What stops them from not continuing? Not that it's stopping them now, but what stops them from stopping when the expert's done and not continuing to watch everything else? I'm sorry, but that should have been a no out the gate. No, your expert witnesses cannot not be sequestered. I don't think Hank cares, but it's the point. Like, it's not normally how it works. Why would they need to not be sequestered? If they're so firm in what they did, why does the defense experts need to watch anything? Like, right? That's another thing. Like, they're not ready half the time. They've had more time than Hank has. He just stepped into this case last year. Like, they've had since this started, okay? 2022. There's no excuse for the defense to not be ready at this point, period. Like, well, that's the thing, right? They very well could have been, Willow, and that's half the problem that we had in the first trial. You know, as I very well think they were seeing it on social media. Some of them were already FKR. I think they snuck their way onto a jury, and that's how we got a jury that was hung. I think it would have been guilty otherwise, and I definitely think if anything goes wrong here, that we know that that's what happened, because this is not going well for the defense. If I was a juror in this case at this point, my vote, if the case ended today, would be guilty. She's lying. That's clear. She lied when it came to the Peggy conversation. She lied about how many drinks, and it was inconsistent statements about those. Like, clearly she was drinking and driving. So even on just the DUI leaving the scene, like, guilty, dude, guilty. You know, guilty. It's literally that simple. So, I mean, with the rest of what they're going to hear and see, I don't see how anyone could vote not guilty at this point. It's just not going well for them. Like, it's just not. Also, we want to give a really big thank you to Willow for her $10 donation. I appreciate you, my friend. You know, I try really hard to bring you guys the entirety of the case, and also try not to, you know, give any commentary during the trial, except for like sidebars or when they're on like a break or something, so that we can hear everything and see everything. And I appreciate when someone donates to the channel, because that's all I get, right? Like, I don't have monetization. So I appreciate it more than just, I feel like thank you isn't always enough to say to you guys, because I really have built this community that I'm very proud of. I'm very proud of how many smart, intelligent, kind, loving, funny people that we have here. And I appreciate you guys more than you guys probably know. Like, so day 3, and right now the jurors know Karen said I hit him. Yeah, at least once, and that she had consumed numerous alcoholic beverages and should not have been driving. Exactly. This is not good for the defense. AJ should have told the jurors that the statement was mischaracterized instead of telling them he was going to prove she never said it. Well, that's the thing. He also promised a bunch of stuff, remember, in the very beginning of this trial, that he is not going to be able to back up at all. Not even a little. Like, thank you, Willow. I appreciate you. And we'll also say thank you to Anna. She sent I haven't looked at it yet, but she sent an Amazon gift card to my email, and I appreciate you for that. I can always buy household stuff with that. Yeah, 2 lakhs for me too, Skin. It starts to irk me, because before this trial, this judge was already, me living in the area, like, I already knew, like, this defense was you know, very defense leaning. She used to be a defense attorney, so she worked for the public defender's office. So you know, she was already defense leaning, but she has given extremely too much leeway to the defense here. At all. Like, there's so much she's given that didn't make any legal sense to me. She should have allowed Hank to play that clip yesterday after Peggy's testimony. She didn't want him to pair it with that testimony because it would have been emotional. Well, oh well. Karen decided to say it to a global audience. That is not her. That's her bad, and it's on her and no one else. By the way, this still has no audio. It's not me. I didn't mute it. It just doesn't have audio. But I agree, Skin Recipe, that she's too lax when it comes to the defense. She's not. The badgering of the witnesses, and when they're not getting the answer that they want, like, even in the first trial, she moved them along if they were asking the same question numerous times after the witness had already answered it. Also, Yannetti cannot demand yes or no answers. If a witness cannot answer the question as a yes or no question, they are allowed to answer it how they're going to answer it. You cannot direct a witness to have a yes or no answer. You cannot. And you can't, like the attorneys themselves, defense or Commonwealth, cannot give directives to the witnesses. So they can't say, give me a yes or no answer. The only directives they're allowed to take, anybody's allowed to take, is from the judge. You know? Lax and Stewart, I agree. Yeah, no, exactly. Didn't want to take no. Like, Karen doesn't take no. It's very clear. She doesn't like the word no. Okay, we're not getting any audio. So it doesn't matter what she's going to say because there's no audio. She's not going to say anything. She's just going to smirk and smile. No audio. Law and Crime forgot to turn their audio on. She turns around, of course. She loves the cameras, loves them. Notice there are not that many FKR people out there. Anybody notice that? Yeah? No? Look at all these people that walk up to her, like running, like she's like, you guys have nothing better to do with your day than, I mean, if you go from last trial to this trial, there's a very big difference. There are not droves of FKR pink shirts out there. Yeah, right. That demand on protester on demand thing must be not being paid for at the moment. But there are not the droves of people we saw out there, you know? So they're going to have a lunch show, I guess. Either way, the court's over for the day. It's sad. I know. Well, that's the thing. You don't really know what to say. Thankfully, I figured it out pretty quickly a couple months in. But I mean, come on, man. Like, that's just absurdity. Like, guys, give me 1 second. I really have to use the bathroom. Like, really bad. Give me 1 minute. I'm sorry, you guys. I had to go to the bathroom. It's so bad. Well, that's the thing. Anything they don't like is a lie, or they just ignore it. And that bothers me because it's like, how do you just ignore what's right in front of you? Yeah, the dog bite thing gets me. There's no dog bites there. Like, they're scratches at best, you know? Yeah, only upper jaw marks. Also, no dog DNA. They swabbed every hole in the sweater, like every bit of it. I do think that there are a lot of people that figured it out after the ID documentary and just kind of went ghost and just stopped saying anything at all and stopped showing up. It's kind of like what happened the first trial. There was a lot of people that figured things out along the way and just stopped showing up. I can think of at least 24 in my own head of people that actually changed their opinion and stopped showing up to these things. Like, oh, I bet. I bet. My daughter has a German Shepherd and a Husky and a Doodle. They're all service dogs, but one's a seeing eye dog, one's medical alert, and one does mobility. But those are not dog bites. They're not dog bites. I promise you that. You know what, Jane? I don't know. I don't know what's going on over here in Mass, but it's really driving me nuts. I'll tell you that much. It is. Well, it's 12:08, my friends, and I guess we shall sign off for the day. I'm gonna go try to eat something for my lunch at this point. Here comes, I think, the family, maybe? Yep. Hold on. Let me see. No, because I don't see Paul. So I don't know. I know, right? Where is Rita? Nobody's seen Rita. They've seen her in Canton doing a lot of select board stuff, but not here. You know? It's interesting. That's for sure. Do me all a favor, since I love your stinking faces so much. You know what? We'll do like a voice chat later since we have like half a day today. We'll do a voice chat in Discord for anybody who's in my Discord. And talk about some things, probably, I'd guess around like 4-ish, around 4-ish. I'll pop in there. I'll do an at everyone before I do it. So, do me a favor and hit the like button, the subscribe button. If you can, share the video. We would appreciate that more than you know. If you can, donate to the channel. Super, super helpful. It's how we, pay the costs for the channel, and then maybe we make something on top of that. So we very well appreciate all your donations. I had one that just came in. Hold on a second. Oh, that's so nice. We have a $100 donation. Thank you so much from Anonymous. I'm not going to read the name because it's somebody's real name. And Arlene sends $25 on Amazon. Thank you, Arlene, so much. I appreciate you. If you want to donate to the channel and you're on my replay crew, of course, I will read it when we come on in the morning, or because it'll be the morning, 8:30 as always. When trial is happening, I always start at 8:30. Of course, you can all still get in touch with me, Facebook, Discord, on X, on any one of those ways. Email twistedtragedy3@gmail.com. I always answer. It might take me a minute, but I do always answer. I love your stinking faces, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.